Hello, horror lovers. Welcome to our channel. If you enjoy that spine-chilling sensation before going to sleep, you're in the right place. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This is really important to me. Like the video, and don't forget to comment which city you're watching from. Leave your comment now because you'll probably fall asleep after this story. Your support helps us keep bringing the best horror stories. Now turn off the lights, lie down, and get ready for a night of nightmares. I take a deep breath, settling into my chair as I prepare to review the day's work. The soft glow of my monitor illuminates the dim studio, casting long shadows across the floor. Outside, San Francisco's foghorns moan in the distance, a melancholy soundtrack to what should be a routine task. "All right, Emily," I mutter to myself, fingers hovering over the keyboard. "Let's see what we've got." The first few images from today's beach photo shoot pop up on screen. I can't help but smile, admiring the play of light on the waves, the genuine joy on the young couple's faces as they frolic in the surf. It's moments like these that remind me why I fell in love with photography in the first place. Not bad if I do say so myself, I chuckle, allowing a spark of pride to warm my chest. I continue scrolling, lost in the rhythm of selection and minor adjustments. The steady click of my mouse is almost meditative. That is, until I reach the 20th image in the set. My hand freezes. The breath catches in my throat. "What the hell?" I whisper, leaning closer to the screen. There, in the far corner of the frame, partially obscured by a cluster of rocks, is a dark figure. At first I try to rationalize it, a trick of the light perhaps, or a beachgoer I hadn't noticed during the shoot. But as I zoom in, my skin begins to crawl. The figure is too dark, too solid to be a mere shadow. Its edges are unnaturally sharp, standing out in stark contrast to the sun-drenched beach around it. And its shape, it's all wrong. Vaguely humanoid, yes, but elongated. Distorted in a way that makes my stomach churn. "This can't be right," I mutter, rubbing my eyes. But when I look again, it's still there, seeming to stare directly at me through the screen. With trembling fingers, I reach for my phone, dialing the number of my assistant who had been with me on the shoot. "Hey, Mia, it's Emily," I say when she picks up, trying to keep my voice steady. "Quick question about today's session. Did you notice anyone else hanging around while we were shooting Brad and Amy?" There's a pause on the other end of the line. "No, not that I remember," Mia replies, confusion evident in her voice. "It was pretty deserted out there. Why do you ask?" I swallow hard, my mouth suddenly dry. "No reason," I lie. "Just thought I saw something in one of the shots. Probably nothing." After ending the call, I turn back to the monitor. The figure seems to have grown larger, more defined, though I know that's impossible. My heart pounds in my chest as I force myself to examine it more closely. There's something about its posture, the way it seems to be reaching towards the camera, that fills me with an inexplicable dread. A chill runs down my spine as I realize it's not just reaching towards the camera, it's reaching towards me. "Get a grip, Emily," I scold myself, pushing away from the desk. "You're letting your imagination run wild." But even as I try to rationalize, a part of me knows this is more than just an overactive imagination. There's a wrongness to the image that goes beyond anything I can explain. With shaking hands, I close the file, but the image of the shadowy figure remains burned into my mind. As I shut down my computer and prepare to leave the studio, I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched. Just before I turn off the lights, I glance back at the now dark monitor. For a split second, I swear I see a flicker of movement reflected in the glass, a darker shadow among the shadows. "Hello?" I call out, my voice embarrassingly small in the empty room. "Is anyone there?" Silence is my only answer, but it's a heavy silence, pregnant with malevolent possibility. I fumble for the light switch, my heart racing. As brightness floods the studio once more, I scan every corner, half expecting to see the figure from the photograph lurking among my equipment. But there's nothing out of the ordinary, just the familiar clutter of my workspace. I laugh nervously, the the sound brittle in the quiet room. "You're losing it, Emily," I say aloud, as if hearing my own voice might ground me in reality. Time to call it a night. But as I lock up and step out into the cool San Francisco night, I can't shake the feeling that something has fundamentally changed. The city streets, usually so familiar and comforting, now seem full of hidden threats. Every shadowy alleyway, every darkened window holds the potential for horror. I hurry home, constantly glancing over my shoulder, and when I finally reach the safety of my apartment, I double-check every lock, draw every curtain. But even as I crawl into bed, I know sleep will be elusive tonight. Because every time I close my eyes, I see it, that dark figure on the beach, reaching out, reaching for me. And somehow I know with bone-deep certainty this is only the beginning. I sit at my desk, staring at the computer screen, the image of that shadowy figure still burned into my retinas. The rational part of my brain is working overtime, trying to come up with logical explanations. "It's nothing, Emily," I mutter to myself, running a hand through my disheveled hair. "Just a trick of the light, a smudge on the lens. Nothing more." But even as the words leave my lips, I can feel the doubt creeping in, cold and insidious. I've been a photographer for over a decade. I know my equipment inside and out. I know what lens flares look like, what shadows do in different lighting conditions. This is something else entirely. I pull up the image again, forcing myself to look at it objectively. The figure is there, unmistakable in its wrongness. Too dark, too solid, too intentional. "Okay," I say aloud, my voice sounding small in the empty apartment. "Let's think this through step by step." I grab a notepad and start jotting down possibilities. Camera malfunction, Photoshop prank. But who and why? Actual person, I didn't notice. Unlikely given the location. Digital artifact or corruption. My pen hovers over the paper. I can't bring myself to write down the other possibilities floating in the darker corners of my mind. Just then, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Jake, one half of the couple from yesterday's engagement shoot. "Hey, Emily, can't wait to see the photos. Sarah and I were wondering if you caught any of that weird mist that rolled in during the sunrise. It looks so cool." I freeze, my blood running cold. Mist? There had been no mist that morning. I remember the crisp, clear air, the cloudless sky that had made for such perfect lighting. With trembling fingers, I type back, "Hey Jake, glad you're excited. Just curious, whereabouts did you see the mist? I don't recall noticing any." His response comes quickly. "Oh, it was wild. Right after you took that series by the old cypress tree. This thick bank of fog just rolled in out of nowhere. Didn't you see it? It was right behind you." I dropped the phone as if it's burned me. Behind me, where the figure was in the photo. "No, no, no," I mutter, pacing the room. "This isn't happening. This can't be happening." I rush back to my computer, pulling up the entire series of photos from that spot. In image after image, the park is clear, beautiful in the morning light. And then, in that one shot, the figure appears. In the next photo, everything is normal again. "What the hell is going on?" I whisper, fear clawing at my throat. I need a second opinion, someone level-headed, someone who won't think I've lost my mind. I pick up my phone again and dial my best friend Alex. "Hey Em, what's up?" Alex's cheerful voice is like a lifeline to normalcy. "Alex, I need you to come over, right now. There's something I need you to look at." There must be something in my voice because Alex's tone immediately shifts to concern. "Are you okay? You sound freaked out." I laugh, and it comes out sounding slightly hysterical. "I'm not sure, just, can you come, please?" "I'm on my way," Alex says without hesitation. As I wait for Alex to arrive, I can't stop myself from looking at the photo again, and again. Each time, I notice new details that send shivers down my spine. The way the figure's arm seems to be reaching out of the frame, the sense of malevolent intent that radiates from its featureless form. When Alex finally knocks on the door, I nearly jump out of my skin. Whoa, Em, Alex says as I let them in, eyes widening at my appearance. You look like you've seen a ghost. I let out a shaky laugh. You might not be far off. Come on, I need you to look at something. I lead Alex to my computer and pull up the photo. Tell me what you see, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. Alex leans in, squinting at the screen. For a long moment, there's silence. Then, slowly, they turn to look at me, face pale. Emily, Alex says carefully, what am I supposed to be looking at? My heart sinks. You don't see it? The figure? By the tree? Alex looks back at the screen, then at me again. Em, there's nothing there, just the tree and the couple. I feel like I'm going to be sick, because now I'm faced with two terrifying possibilities. Either I'm losing my mind, or whatever this thing is, it only wants me to see it. As Alex tries to comfort me, suggesting stress and lack of sleep as culprits, I nod along. But inside, doubt has bloomed into full-fledged fear, because deep down, I know what I saw. And I know, with a certainty that chills me to my core, that this is only the beginning. The shadow in my photo isn't just a trick of the light or a smudge on the lens. It's something more, something that defies explanation. And somehow, for reasons I can't begin to fathom, it has chosen me. As night falls and Alex reluctantly leaves, promising to check in on me tomorrow, I'm left alone with my thoughts and the damning evidence on my computer screen. The doubt that started as a small seed has now grown into a monstrous thing, wrapping tendrils of fear around my mind. I know I won't sleep tonight. How can I, when every shadow in my apartment seems to hold the potential for horror? So instead, I sit in the dark, my eyes never leaving the computer screen, watching and waiting. Because now I know, the world is not what I thought it was, and something is watching me from the shadows, biding its time. I haven't slept in days. The shadows under my eyes have grown as dark as the figure that haunts my photographs. My hands shake as I scroll through my recent work, my breath catching with each new image. No, I mutter, my voice hoarse from lack of use. This can't be happening. But it is happening. The shadow is there, in every single photo, and it's growing. I pull up the first image where I noticed it, the beach photo shoot. The figure is barely visible, a smudge in the corner that could be easily overlooked. But now, as I compare it to more recent shots, the difference is terrifying. In a portrait I took just yesterday, the shadow looms large, taking up nearly a quarter of the frame. Its form is more defined now, unmistakably humanoid but wrong in ways that make my skin crawl. And its position, it's no longer lurking in the background. It's standing right behind my subject, arms outstretched as if ready to engulf them. My phone rings, startling me so badly I nearly fall out of my chair. It's Mia, my assistant. Emily? Her voice is tight with worry. Are you okay? You haven't been answering my texts? I swallow hard, trying to keep the tremor out of my voice. Yeah, sorry. I've been busy. Busy? Emily, you've canceled all your shoots for the past week. Clients are starting to ask questions. What's going on? I close my eyes, fighting back tears. How can I possibly explain this to her? To anyone? I can't work right now, Mia. There's something wrong with my photos. There's a pause on the other end of the line. When Mia speaks again, her voice is gentle, as if she's talking to a frightened animal. What do you mean, something wrong? I take a deep breath. There's something in them. A shadow. A figure. It's in all of them, Mia. Every single one. Emily. Mia's voice is hesitant now. Maybe you should take a break. Get some rest. I'm worried about you. I'm not crazy, I snap, immediately regretting my outburst. I'm sorry, I need you to believe me. Can you come over? I need to show you something. Another pause. Then, okay, I'll be there in 20 minutes. As I wait for Mia to arrive, I force myself to look through more photos. The pattern is undeniable now. With each new image, the shadow grows larger, more defined, more menacing. In the most recent photo, taken just this morning of my own reflection in the bathroom mirror, the figure is so close I can almost make out features in its dark face. Its hand is reaching out, inches from my shoulder. A knock at the door makes me jump. I hurry to let Mia in, feeling a rush of relief at seeing a friendly face. "Emily, you look terrible," Mia says, her eyes wide with concern. "When was the last time you slept?" I wave off her worry, pulling her towards my computer. "Never mind that. Look at this." I pull up the series of photos, starting with the beach shoot and progressing to more recent ones. Mia leans in, her brow furrowed in concentration. "I don't," she starts, then stops abruptly. Her face pales. "Wait, what is that?" My heart races. "You can see it? The shadow?" Mia nods slowly, her eyes never leaving the screen. "It's in all of them. And it's growing?" "Yes," I exclaim, relief flooding through me. "You see it too, I'm not going crazy." But as I look at Mia's face, I realize that confirmation might not be the comfort I thought it would be. Because now the horror I've been living with is real, undeniable. "Emily," Mia says slowly, turning to face me. "What is this thing? And why is it in your photos?" I shake my head, feeling tears start to well up. "I don't know, but it's getting closer, Mia. In every photo, it's getting closer to me." Mia pulls me into a hug and I break down, sobbing into her shoulder. When I finally calm down, she holds me at arm's length, her face set with determination. "Okay, here's what we're going to do. First, you're going to get some sleep. I'll stay here and keep watch. Then, tomorrow, we're going to figure this out. Together." I nod, feeling a glimmer of hope for the first time in days. But as Mia leads me to my bedroom, I can't help but glance back at my computer. The last photo is still on screen, the one from this morning. And as I watch, a chill runs down my spine. The shadow has moved. Its hand, which was reaching for my shoulder, is now pointed directly at the camera. At me. As I close my eyes, trying to find sleep that I know won't come, one thought echoes in my mind. The pattern has emerged, clear and terrifying. And somehow, I know that time is running out. I jolt awake, heart pounding, sweat plastering my hair to my forehead. The digital clock on my nightstand glows an angry red. 3:17 a.m. Another sleepless night. "Get it together, Emily," I mutter, swinging my legs over the side of the bed. The floorboards creak under my feet as I make my way to the kitchen. Every shadow seems to loom larger. Every dark corner a potential hiding place for what? I don't even know anymore. As I fill a glass with water, my hand shakes so badly I nearly drop it. The tap shuts off with a metallic groan that sounds impossibly loud in the stillness of the night. Creak. I freeze, the hair on the back of my neck standing up. That sound didn't come from me. "Hello?" I call out, my voice embarrassingly small. "Is someone there?" Silence is my only answer, but it's a heavy silence, pregnant with malevolent possibility. I fumble for the light switch, my heart racing. As brightness floods the kitchen, I scan every corner, half expecting to see the shadowy figure from my photographs lurking among the pots and pans. But there's nothing out of the ordinary, just the familiar clutter of dirty dishes I've been too afraid to wash. I laugh nervously, the sound brittle in the quiet room. "You're losing it, Emily," I say aloud, as if hearing my own voice might ground me in reality. But even as I try to calm myself, I can't shake the feeling of being watched. It's been like this for days now, ever since I first noticed the shadow in my photos. Sleep has become a distant memory, replaced by endless nights of jumping at every sound, every shifting shadow. I make my way back to the bedroom, but I know sleep is a lost cause. Instead, I boot up my laptop, squinting against the harsh blue light. My email inbox is overflowing with concerned messages from clients, friends, family. I've been canceling shoots left and right, unable to bring myself to pick up a camera. A new email catches my eye. It's from Jake, the groom from that fateful engagement shoot. Hey Emily, just checking in. We're getting worried about you. Is everything okay? We still haven't received our photos. My stomach churns with guilt. I should tell them the truth. But how can I explain something I barely understand myself? As if summoned by my thoughts, a shadow flickers in the corner of my eye. I whirl around, heart in my throat, but there's nothing there. Just the usual darkness of my room. Stop it, I hiss at myself. There's nothing there. You're just tired. But even as I say it, I know it's a lie. Because in that split second before I turned, I could have sworn I saw it. The same elongated, distorted figure from my photos. I slam the laptop shut and curl up on the bed, wrapping my arms around my knees. The silence of the apartment presses in on me, broken only by the occasional creak of settling wood or the distant hum of traffic. Every sound makes me flinch. The rustle of curtains in the breeze becomes the whisper of otherworldly movement. The tap-tap-tap of a tree branch against the window transforms into the scratching of spectral fingers, trying to get in. Hours pass like this, me huddled on the bed, jumping at shadows. As the first gray light of dawn begins to seep through the curtains, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Mia. Hey, just checking in. How are you holding up? I stare at the message for a long moment before replying. Not great. Can't sleep. Keep seeing things. Her response is almost immediate. I'm coming over. We need to talk about this. Relief washes over me at the thought of not being alone anymore. But as I wait for Mia to arrive, a new, terrifying thought occurs to me. What if I'm putting her in danger by involving her in this? The shadow in my photos has been growing, becoming more defined with each new image. What if it's not just haunting my photographs anymore? What if it's breaking through into our world? A knock at the door makes me jump. Emily, it's me, Mia's voice calls out. I hesitate, my hand on the doorknob. Part of me wants to tell her to run, to get as far away from me and whatever this thing is as possible. But the larger part, the part that's been drowning in fear and isolation for days, can't bear to be alone anymore. I open the door. Mia takes one look at me and her eyes widen in shock. Oh, Emily, she breathes, pulling me into a hug. What's happening to you? As I break down in her arms, sobbing out the story of sleepless nights and growing terror, I can't shake the feeling that we're being watched. And somewhere in the shadows of my apartment, something is waiting, growing stronger with each passing moment. These sleepless nights have become my new reality, a waking nightmare from which I can't seem to escape. And as Mia leads me to the couch, promising that we'll figure this out together, I wonder if I'll ever know peace again. Because how can you rest when you know that the moment you close your eyes, the shadows might come alive? I sit hunched over my laptop, the glow of the screen casting an eerie blue light across my haggard face. The room is a mess of empty coffee cups, crumpled papers, and discarded takeout containers, evidence of my descent into obsession. My eyes burn from lack of sleep, but I can't stop now. I'm close to something, I can feel it. Come on, I mutter, scrolling through another obscure forum. There has to be something here. For days now, I've been diving deep into the darkest corners of the internet, searching for answers. Folklore, urban legends, paranormal encounters, anything that might explain the shadowy figure haunting my photographs. The entity that seems to be growing stronger, closer, with each new image. A knock at the door startles me so badly I nearly knock over my lukewarm coffee. Emily, Mia's voice calls out. It's me. Can I come in? I hesitate, glancing at the chaos surrounding me. But Mia's been my rock through this nightmare and I can't push her away now. Yeah, I croak, my voice hoarse from disuse. It's open. Mia enters, her eyes widening as she takes in the state of my apartment. Oh, Emily, she breathes, picking her way through the clutter. Have you slept at all? I shake my head, turning back to my screen. Can't sleep. Too much to do. I think I'm onto something. Mia perches on the edge of my desk, her brow furrowed with concern. What have you found? I take a deep breath, trying to organize my scattered thoughts. Okay, so get this. There are legends, stories from all over the world about entities that feed on human souls through captured images. Mia's eyebrows shoot up. What, like soul-eating camera monsters? Despite everything, I can't help but chuckle. Something like that, yeah, look at this. I pull up a web page pointing to an ancient woodcut depicting a grotesque creature looming over a painter at his easel. This is from 16th century Germany. The artist claimed that every time he painted a portrait, the subject would fall ill. Some even died. That's creepy, Mia admits. But what does it have to do with your photos? I click through to another tab. It's not just paintings. When photography was invented, similar stories started popping up. People claiming they saw shadowy figures in their photos, figures that weren't there when the picture was taken. Mia leans in, her skepticism warring with curiosity. Okay, but Emily, you know how easy it is to fake photos, especially old ones. I nod impatiently. I know, but look at this. I pull up a series of images, daguerreotypes, tintypes, modern digital photos. In each one, barely visible at first but growing clearer as the images progress, is a shadowy, elongated figure. These span over 150 years, I explain, my voice rising with excitement. Different photographers, different technologies, but always the same figure, and look how it changes over time. Mia's face pales as she sees it, the way the shadow seems to grow more solid, more defined in the later photos, just like in my own work. Emily, she says slowly, what exactly are you saying? I push back from the desk, running a hand through my tangled hair. I think these things, whatever they are, they feed on images, on the act of capturing a moment, and somehow I've attracted one. Mia is silent for a long moment, her eyes darting between me and the screen. That's insane, Em. You know that, right? I laugh, and it comes out sounding slightly hysterical. Trust me, I know how it sounds. But what other explanation is there? You've seen my photos, you've seen it growing, changing. Maybe it's a glitch in your camera, Mia suggests weakly, or some kind of weird digital artifact. I shake my head vehemently. I've checked everything. Multiple cameras, different memory cards, hell, I even broke out my old film camera. It's in all of them, Mia, and it's getting stronger. Mia slides off the desk, pacing the small, clear area of my floor. Okay, let's say for a moment that you're right, that this thing is real. What does it want? I swallow hard, voicing the fear that's been growing in me for days. I think it wants me. My soul, my essence, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's using my own art against me. That's why you stopped taking photos, Mia realizes, her eyes widening. I nod. But it's not enough. Look at this. I pull up the most recent photo I've taken, a selfie from just this morning, meant to document my deteriorating state. The shadow is there, looming behind me, its form more solid than ever. One elongated arm reaches out, its fingers barely brushing my shoulder. Mia gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. Oh my God, Emily. We need to do something. We need to stop this. I've been trying, I exclaim, gesturing at the mess of papers around me. But everything I find is just stories, legends. Nothing about how to fight these things. Mia is quiet for a moment, her brow furrowed in thought. Then she snaps her fingers. Wait, I have an idea. My Aunt Claudia. Remember her? The one who's really into all that New Age stuff? I nod, not sure where this is going. She has this friend, this guy who deals with unusual things, paranormal stuff. Maybe he could help? I hesitate, torn between skepticism and desperate hope. I don't know, Mia. Some psychic charlatan isn't going to be able to... He's not a psychic, Mia interrupts. At least I don't think so. Aunt Claudia calls him an occult researcher or something. Look, what do we have to lose? She has a point. At this stage, I'm willing to try almost anything. Okay, I sigh. Set it up. 2 days later, I find myself sitting across from a man named Dr. Elias Blackwood in a cluttered office that smells strongly of incense and old books. He's not what I expected. No crystal ball or flowing robes. Instead, he's a bespectacled man in his 60s, with a neatly trimmed beard and piercing blue eyes. "Miss Sawyer," he says, his voice surprisingly deep, "I understand you're experiencing some unusual phenomena with your photographs." I nod, pulling out my laptop. "It's easier if I show you." For the next half hour, I walk him through everything. The first appearance of the shadow, its gradual growth and evolution, my research into similar occurrences. Dr. Blackwood listens intently, occasionally jotting down notes in a leather-bound journal. When I finish, he's quiet for a long moment, studying the most recent photo with a magnifying glass. Finally, he looks up at me, his expression grave. "Miss Sawyer, what you're dealing with is indeed very real and very dangerous." A mix of relief and terror washes over me. "So you've seen this before? You know what it is?" He nods slowly. "In my line of work, I've encountered similar entities. They go by many names in different cultures: shadow eaters, soul stealers, image vampires. But they all share a common trait. They feed on the essence of moments captured in time." "But why me?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. "Why my photos?" Dr. Blackwood leans back in his chair, steepling his fingers. "These creatures are drawn to individuals with a particular talent for capturing the soul of a moment. Artists, photographers, even particularly skilled social media influencers. Your work must have attracted its attention." I feel sick. "So it's my fault? I brought this thing into our world?" "Not intentionally," he reassures me. "Think of it like leaving food out in the woods. You didn't mean to attract bears, but once they smell it..." "How do I stop it?" I ask, leaning forward. "How do I get rid of this thing?" Dr. Blackwood's expression turns grim. "I'm afraid it's not that simple, Miss Sawyer. Once these entities latch onto a source of sustenance, they're very difficult to dislodge, and this one seems particularly strong." My heart sinks. "So what? I just give up? Let it take me?" He shakes his head firmly. "Absolutely not. There are ways to fight it, to weaken its hold on you. But I must warn you, the process will not be easy, and it will require significant sacrifice on your part." "I'll do anything," I say without hesitation. "Just tell me what to do." Dr. Blackwood nods, a hint of approval in his eyes. "Very well. The first step is to sever its connection to you. That means destroying every photograph you've taken since it first appeared." I feel like I've been punched in the gut. "Every photo? But that's months of work, my livelihood." "I understand it's a lot to ask," he says gently, "but every image this entity appears in strengthens its hold on our reality. We need to cut it off at the source." I close my eyes, fighting back tears, but I know he's right. "Okay, what else?" "You'll need to abstain from photography entirely for a time. No photos, no videos, not even sketches. The act of capturing images is what draws it to you." I nod, my throat tight. My entire identity, my passion, my career, all of it has to go. But it's better than the alternative. "There are also protective measures we can take," Dr. Blackwood continues. "Wards, rituals, that sort of thing. They won't destroy the entity, but they can help keep it at bay while we work on a more permanent solution." "And is there one?" I ask. "A permanent solution?" He hesitates, and in that moment I see a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "There are theories, ancient texts that speak of ways to banish such creatures, but the process is dangerous and the outcome far from certain." I take a deep breath, squaring my shoulders. "I don't care. I'll do whatever it takes." Dr. Blackwood studies me for a long moment, then nods. "Very well. We'll begin immediately. But I must warn you, Miss Sawyer, the road ahead will be difficult. This entity will not give up easily. It will fight back, try to trick you to wear you down. I understand, I say, even as fear churns in my gut. As I leave Dr. Blackwood's office, my mind reeling from everything I've learned, I can't shake the feeling that this is only the beginning. The shadow in my photos may be more real and more dangerous than I ever imagined, but now at least I have a fighting chance. I step out into the sunlight, blinking against its brightness. For the first time in weeks, I resist the urge to pull out my phone and capture the moment. Instead, I simply breathe it in, letting it wash over me. The battle ahead will be hard. The sacrifice is great. But as I walk home, I feel a glimmer of hope. Whatever this thing is, whatever it wants from me, I'm not going down without a fight. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to reclaim my art and my life from the shadows that threaten to consume them. I stare at my camera, its familiar weight now feeling like a curse in my hands. The urge to capture the world around me, to freeze moments in time, has been my constant companion for years. But now, that very impulse could be my undoing. Just one shot, I whisper, my finger hovering over the shutter button. One quick photo. It can't hurt, right? But even as the words leave my lips, I know it's a lie. Dr. Blackwood's warnings echo in my mind, a grim reminder of the danger I face. Every image strengthens its hold, Miss Sawyer. You must resist the urge to capture, no matter how strong it becomes. I lower the camera, my hands shaking. It's been 3 weeks since I last took a photograph, the longest I've gone without shooting since I first picked up a camera as a teenager. The withdrawal is almost physical, an ache deep in my bones. A knock at the door startles me out of my reverie. It's Mia, her face etched with concern as she takes in my disheveled appearance. Em? You okay? You didn't answer my texts. I force a smile, stepping aside to let her in. Yeah, sorry. I've been distracted. Mia's eyes fall on the camera in my hands, and her expression tightens. Emily, you know you can't. I know. I cut her off, setting the camera down with more force than necessary. I wasn't going to use it. I was just looking. Mia sighs, pulling me into a hug. I know this is hard for you, but we have to stick to the plan, remember? I nod against her shoulder, fighting back tears. When we break apart, I gesture to the stack of boxes in the corner of my living room. I've been going through my old prints, getting ready to, you know. Mia's eyes widen. All of them? But Em, that's your life's work. It has to be done, I say, my voice hollow. Dr. Blackwood was clear. Any image where it appears has to go. We spend the next few hours sorting through photographs, a visual timeline of my career. Each image we set aside for destruction feels like a physical blow, but it's not until we reach the more recent shots that the true horror of my situation becomes clear. Oh my God, Mia breathes, holding up a print from a wedding I shot just a month ago. Emily, look at this. I lean in, my blood running cold. There, looming behind the happy couple, is the shadow. But it's no longer just a vague, dark shape. I can make out features now, elongated limbs, a featureless face, fingers that seem to stretch towards the bride's shoulder. It's getting stronger, I whisper, my voice shaking. More real. Mia sets the photo down, her face pale. We need to burn these. All of them, now. I nod, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. We gather the condemned images, hundreds of them, and head out to the small courtyard behind my apartment building. The metal trash can we use as a makeshift fire pit seems too mundane for the gravity of what we're about to do. As the flames begin to lick at the edges of my work, my art, my passion, I feel something break inside me. A sob escapes my lips, and Mia wraps an arm around my shoulders. It's okay, Em, she murmurs. Let it out. And I do. I cry for the lost moments, the memories turned to ash. I cry for the career I've worked so hard to build, now in jeopardy. But most of all, I cry out of fear. Fear of the thing that haunts my photos. fear that even this drastic measure won't be enough to stop it. As the last photo curls and blackens in the flames, I feel a sudden chill, as if a cold wind has blown through the courtyard. But the air is still, humid with the heat of the fire. "Did you feel that?" I ask Mia, my voice barely above a whisper. She shakes her head, looking concerned. "Feel what?" Are you okay?" I'm about to answer when movement catches my eye. There, in the shadow cast by the flickering flames, something shifts. It's subtle, barely perceptible, but unmistakable to my trained photographer's eye. My heart races as I stare at the shadow, willing it to be a trick of the light, a product of my overtired mind. But then I see it again, a ripple as if something is moving within the darkness itself. "Mia," I say, my voice tight with fear. "We need to go inside. Now." She must hear the urgency in my tone because she doesn't question me, just nods and starts gathering our things. As we hurry back into my apartment, I can't shake the feeling that we're being followed, pursued by something that lurks just out of sight. Once inside, I triple-check the locks, drawing all the curtains tight. Mia watches me with growing concern. "Emily, what's going on? What did you see out there?" I sink onto the couch, my hands shaking as I try to find the words to explain. I think it's not just in the photos anymore, Mia. I think it's breaking through." Mia's face pales. "What do you mean breaking through? Like into our world?" I nod, the reality of what I'm saying hitting me like a physical blow. The shadows, they were moving, and not just from the fire. It was like something was alive in them. Mia sits down heavily beside me, her expression a mix of fear and disbelief. "But how is that possible? We burned the photos. We did everything Dr. Blackwood said to do." "I don't know," I admit, running a hand through my hair. Maybe it's too late. Maybe it's already too strong." We sit in silence for a long moment, the weight of our situation pressing down on us. Finally, Mia speaks up, her voice determined. "We need to call Dr. Blackwood. If this thing is really manifesting in the real world, he needs to know." I nod, reaching for my phone, but as I do, the screen lights up with an incoming call. It's an unknown number. "Hello?" I answer, my voice shaking slightly. "Miss Sawyer." Dr. Blackwood's deep voice fills the line, tense with urgency. "I need you to listen to me very carefully. Are you alone?" "No, Mia's with me." "Why? What's wrong?" There's a pause, and when he speaks again, his voice is grave. "I've been consulting with some colleagues about your case. We've come across some troubling information. I'm on my way to you now, but until I get there, you must not, under any circumstances, look at your reflection. Do you understand?" A chill runs down my spine. "My reflection? But why?" There's no time to explain fully. He cuts me off. "Just trust me. No mirrors, no reflective surfaces of any kind. And whatever you do not take any photographs. The veil between our world and its is thin right now. We can't risk giving it any more points of entry." The line goes dead, leaving me staring at my phone in shock. "Emily?" Mia's voice seems to come from far away. What did he say? What's going on? I relay Dr. Blackwood's warning, watching as Mia's face grows more and more pale. "No reflections?" she repeats. "But how is that even possible?" I shake my head, already moving to cover the mirror in my hallway with a sheet. "I don't know. But after everything we've seen, are you really willing to take the chance?" We spend the next hour securing my apartment, covering or removing anything that could possibly show a reflection. As we work, I can't shake the feeling of being watched, of eyes following our every move from the shadows. "There," Mia says finally, taping a piece of cardboard over my microwave door. "I think that's everything." I nod, sinking onto the couch. The apartment feels different now, alien and oppressive with all the reflective surfaces covered. Shadows seem to loom larger in the corners, and every creak and groan of the building sets my nerves on edge. "What now?" Mia asks, sitting beside me. "Now we wait for Dr. Blackwood," I reply, trying to keep my voice steady. "And we stay alert. If you see anything strange, anything at all, you tell me immediately." Mia nods, her hand finding mine and squeezing it tight. We sit like that, in tense silence, for what feels like hours. The sun begins to set, deepening the shadows in the apartment. I find myself jumping at every little sound, my eyes straining to catch any hint of movement in the darkness. Just as the tension becomes almost unbearable, there's a knock at the door. Mia and I exchange a glance, both of us too afraid to move. "Miss Sawyer?" Dr. Blackwood's voice calls out. "It's me. Please, let me in." I stand on shaky legs, moving to the door, but as I reach for the handle, something stops me. A feeling, an instinct I can't quite name. "Dr. Blackwood," I call out, Can you tell me something only you would know? From our first meeting?" There's a pause long enough to make my heart race. Then, "Of course, you showed me a photograph of a sunset over the Golden Gate Bridge. You said it was the first professional shot you ever sold." I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding and opened the door. Dr. Blackwood steps in quickly, his face grave as he takes in the state of my apartment. "Good," he says, nodding at the covered surfaces. "You followed my instructions. That's very important." "Dr. Blackwood," I say, my voice shaking slightly. "What's going on? Why can't we look at reflections?" He sighs heavily, setting down his bag and pulling out several ancient-looking books. "The entity you've attracted, Miss Sawyer, it's not just feeding on your photographs anymore. It's using them as a bridge, a way to cross over into our reality." Mia gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. "But we burned the photos. Shouldn't that have stopped it?" Dr. Blackwood shakes his head. "I'm afraid it's not that simple. The creature has already gained too strong a foothold, and now it's looking for new ways to manifest. Reflections, shadows. These are liminal spaces, thresholds between realities. They're vulnerable points that the entity can exploit." I sink back onto the couch, my head spinning. "So what do we do? How do we stop it?" Dr. Blackwood's expression is grim as he opens one of his books. "We fight fire with fire, Miss Sawyer, or in this case, image with image. We're going to trap this thing the same way it's been trying to trap you, through the power of captured moments." As he begins to explain his plan, I feel a mix of hope and terror rising within me. The battle for my soul, for my very reality, is about to begin in earnest. And as the shadows in my apartment seem to lean in, listening, I can't shake the feeling that the entity is watching us, waiting for its moment to strike. The weight of my camera, still sitting on the table, suddenly feels like both a weapon and a curse. Whatever happens next, I know that my relationship with photography, with the very act of capturing moments in time, will never be the same again. I stare at my computer screen, my finger hovering over the send button. The email to Jake and Sarah, the newlyweds from my last shoot, feels inadequate. How can I possibly explain the inexplicable? "Just do it, Emily," I mutter to myself. They deserve some kind of answer. With a deep breath, I click send. The generic apology for the delay and vague promise of photos soon feels like a betrayal, but it's the best I can do right now. Moments later, my phone buzzes. It's Jake calling. My stomach drops as I answer. "Hello? Emily? It's Jake. Listen, we just got your email. What's going on? It's been weeks." I can hear the mix of concern and frustration in his voice. I close my eyes, trying to steady myself. "I'm so sorry, Jake. There's been a technical issue with the photos. I'm working on resolving it." There's a pause on the other end of the line. When Jake speaks again, his voice is tighter. "Technical issue? Emily, these are our wedding photos. We need them for our album. For thank you cards. What kind of issue are we talking about? I swallow hard, scrambling for a plausible explanation. It's complicated. There's some corruption in the files. I'm doing everything I can to recover them. Corruption? Jake's voice rises slightly. But you always say you back everything up multiple times. How is that possible? The lie tastes bitter on my tongue, but I press on. I know. It's unprecedented. I'm as upset about this as you are, believe me. I hear muffled voices in the background, then Sarah's voice comes on the line. Emily, it's Sarah. Look, we understand that sometimes things go wrong, but this is our wedding we're talking about. These memories can't be recreated. Isn't there anything you can do? The desperation in her voice cuts through me like a knife. I think of the photos I've seen, of the shadowy figure looming behind the happy couple, its elongated fingers reaching for them. A chill runs down my spine. I'm doing everything I can, Sarah. I promise. I just need a little more time. There's a long pause. When Sarah speaks again, her voice is cold. We paid you a lot of money, Emily. If you can't deliver what we agreed on, we'll need to discuss a refund. And we may need to consider legal options. The threat hangs in the air, and I feel a wave of panic rising in my chest. Please, just give me a few more days. I'm close to a solution, I swear. After a few more tense exchanges, we end the call. I slump in my chair, feeling utterly drained. The weight of what I'm keeping from them, from all my clients, feels crushing. A knock at my door makes me jump. It's Mia, her face etched with concern as she takes in my expression. Hey, I heard voices. Everything okay? I shake my head, fighting back tears. It was Jake and Sarah. They're not happy. Mia sits beside me, putting a comforting hand on my shoulder. Oh, Em, I'm so sorry. What did you tell them? I relay the conversation, the lies I told, the threats of legal action. Mia listens, her frown deepening. This can't go on, Emily, she says softly. We need to figure out a way to deal with this thing soon. Your career, your reputation. I know. I cut her off, more sharply than I intended. Don't you think I know that? But what am I supposed to do? Show them the photos with that thing in them? Tell them their wedding memories are tainted by some kind of supernatural parasite? Mia is quiet for a moment, then her eyes light up. Wait a second. What if we could edit it out? I blink at her. Edit it out? She nods, growing excited. Yeah, I mean, you're a wizard with Photoshop. If we could remove the shadow from the images, maybe we could salvage some of them. For a moment, hope flares in my chest. But then I remember Dr. Blackwood's warnings. I don't know, Mia. Dr. Blackwood said we shouldn't interact with the images at all, that it might make the entity stronger. Mia's enthusiasm dims, but she persists. But what if we're super careful? We could use a separate computer, one not connected to the internet, and we'd delete everything as soon as we're done. I bite my lip, considering. The idea is tempting, so tempting, to be able to give Jake and Sarah at least some of their wedding photos, to start rebuilding my tattered professional reputation. Okay, I say finally. Let's try it. But we need to be extremely careful. And at the first sign of anything weird, we stop. Deal? Mia nods solemnly. Deal. We spend the next few hours setting up an old laptop of mine, disconnecting it from any networks and transferring a selection of the wedding photos onto it. As the first image loads on the screen, I feel a mix of anticipation and dread. There it is. The shadow. Seeing it again after weeks of avoiding all images sends a shiver down my spine. It seems even more defined now, its presence dominating the frame despite the joyful couple in the foreground. Oh my God, Mia breathes, leaning in closer. It's looking right at us. She's right. The featureless face of the entity is turned directly towards the camera, towards us. I swallow hard, forcing myself to focus on the task at hand. Okay, let's do this, I mutter, opening Photoshop. For the next hour, I work meticulously, using every trick I know to erase the shadowy figure from the image. It's painstaking work, made more difficult by the way the entity seems to blend with the natural shadows in the scene. Finally, I sit back, exhaling heavily. There. What do you think? Mia leans in, studying the image closely. Wow, Em, it's perfect. You can't even tell anything was there. I allow myself a small smile, the first genuine one in weeks. Yeah, let's try another one. We continue like this for several more photos, each successful edit boosting my confidence. Maybe this will work after all. Maybe I can salvage something from this nightmare. But as I open the fifth image, something changes. The shadow seems darker, more solid, and as I zoom in to begin editing, I swear I see it move. Mia, I say, my voice shaking. Are you seeing this? Mia leans in, her eyes widening. It can't be. But it is. As we watch, frozen in horror, the shadowy figure in the photo turns its head, looking directly at us through the screen. Its featureless face seems to ripple, and suddenly, I'm staring into a pair of deep, black eyes. I try to close the program, to shut down the computer, but nothing responds. The image fills the screen, the happy couple fading away until only the entity remains. And then, impossibly, we hear a voice. It's like nothing I've ever heard before, a sound that seems to bypass my ears and resonate directly in my mind. Photographer, it hisses. You thought you could erase me? I am eternal. I am the shadow in every image, the darkness behind every moment of light. And now, you have given me a new way in. The screen flickers, and suddenly the shadow seems to be pressing against it from the inside, as if trying to break through into our world. Mia, run! I scream, grabbing her arm and pulling her away from the computer. We stumble out of my apartment, slamming the door behind us. In the hallway, we lean against the wall, both of us breathing heavily. What was that? Mia gasps, her face pale with shock. I shake my head, unable to form words. The reality of what we've done, of the danger we've put ourselves in, crashes over me like a wave. We need to call Dr. Blackwood, I manage finally. Now. As Mia fumbles for her phone, I stare at my apartment door, half expecting to see inky black tendrils seeping out from under it. What have we unleashed? Dr. Blackwood arrives within the hour, his face grim as we explain what happened. He listens silently, then shakes his head. I warned you about interacting with the images, he says, his voice heavy with disappointment and worry. You've given it exactly what it wanted, a direct connection to our world. I'm sorry, I whisper, tears springing to my eyes. I just wanted to fix things to save my career. Dr. Blackwood's expression softens slightly. I understand the temptation, Miss Sawyer, but now we're dealing with a much more dangerous situation. The entity has tasted freedom. It won't stop until it fully manifests in our reality. So what do we do? Mia asks, her voice small. Dr. Blackwood pulls out an ancient-looking book from his bag. We fight back. But I warn you, the ritual I have in mind is dangerous. It could trap the entity, or it could give it exactly the power it needs to break through completely. I look at Mia, then back at Dr. Blackwood. The weight of my mistake, of the danger I've put not just myself but everyone around me in, settles on my shoulders. I'll do whatever it takes, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. This is my fault. I need to make it right. As Dr. Blackwood begins to explain the ritual, laying out strange objects and drawing symbols on my apartment floor, I can't help but think of Jake and Sarah, of the joy on their faces in those wedding photos, now tainted by an otherworldly horror. Of all the moments I've captured over the years, the slices of life and love I've frozen in time, I've always believed that photography was about preserving the light, but now I understand the darkness that comes with it, the shadows we cast every time we try to hold on to a moment forever. Whatever happens next, I know that my relationship with my art, With the very act of capturing images, we'll never be the same. As we prepare to face the entity, to fight for our reality, I silently vow that if I survive this, I'll find a way to use my gift that doesn't open doors to places best left undisturbed. The shadows in my apartment seem to deepen as Dr. Blackwood begins the ritual. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for whatever comes next. The battle for my soul, for the very fabric of our reality, is about to begin. I sit alone in my darkened apartment, the curtains drawn tight against the outside world. The silence is oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of settling wood or the distant hum of traffic. It's been days since I've spoken to anyone, weeks since I've picked up my camera. My phone buzzes again, another missed call from my mom. I stare at the screen, my thumb hovering over the callback button. But what would I say? How could I possibly explain what's happening to me? The buzzing stops and a new voicemail notification pops up. With a sigh, I press play, my mom's worried voice filling the room. "Emily, honey, it's Mom again. We're all getting really worried about you. You haven't been answering your phone, you've missed 2 family dinner. Please just call us back and let us know you're okay. We love you." The message ends and I feel a lump forming in my throat. I miss them. My parents, my sister, my nephews. But how can I face them like this? How can I explain that I'm being haunted by something that defies explanation? Something that's slowly consuming my life and my art? A knock at the door startles me out of my reverie. For a moment, I consider not answering. But then I hear Mia's voice. "Em? It's me. I know you're in there. Please, just open up." I hesitate for another second before shuffling to the door. When I open it, Mia's eyes widen in shock. "Oh, Emily," she breathes, taking in my disheveled appearance. "What's happened to you?" I step back, letting her in. "Nothing's happened. I'm fine." Mia scoffs, following me into the living room. "Fine? Emily, look at yourself. When was the last time you showered or ate a proper meal?" I shrug, sinking onto the couch. "I don't know. What does it matter?" Mia sits beside me, her face etched with concern. "It matters because you're my best friend and you're clearly not okay. Em, you can't keep isolating yourself like this. It's not healthy." I laugh, and it comes out sounding bitter and hollow. "Healthy? Mia, there's a supernatural entity haunting my photographs. I think we're well past healthy at this point." Mia is quiet for a moment, then she takes my hand. "I know this is hard, Em. I can't even imagine what you're going through. But shutting everyone out isn't the answer. We're all worried sick about you." I pull my hand away, standing up to pace the room. "You don't understand. I can't face them. Any of them. How am I supposed to explain why I've canceled all my shoots? Why I haven't delivered on contracts? Why I jump at every shadow?" "You don't have to explain everything," Mia says gently. "Just let them know you're going through a tough time. They love you, Em. They'll understand." I shake my head, feeling tears start to well up. Will they? Because I sure as hell don't understand what's happening to me. How can I expect anyone else to? Mia stands, moving to block my pacing. She puts her hands on my shoulders, forcing me to meet her gaze. "Emily, listen to me. You are not alone in this. I'm here. Dr. Blackwood is helping. And your family. They may not understand the details, but they'll understand that you need support." I feel something inside me start to crack, the walls I've built up over the past weeks beginning to crumble. "I'm scared, Mia," I whisper, my voice breaking. "I'm so scared." And then I'm crying, really crying for the first time since this nightmare began. Mia pulls me into a hug, and I cling to her like a lifeline. "I know, Em," she murmurs, rubbing my back. "I know. But we're going to get through this. Together." When my sobs finally subside, Mia leads me to the bathroom. "Come on," she says gently. "Let's get you cleaned up. A hot shower will do you good." As the warm water washes over me, I feel some of the tension start to leave my body. When I emerge, wrapped in a towel, I find that Mia has tidied up the living room and opened the curtains, letting in the late afternoon sunlight. "There," she says, smiling as she hands me a cup of tea. "Doesn't that feel better?" I nod, surprised to find that it actually does. "Thanks, Mia. I'm sorry I've been so distant." She waves off my apology. "Don't worry about it, but Em, we need to talk about what happens next. You can't keep living like this." I sigh, sinking onto the couch. "I know. But what am I supposed to do? I can't work. I can't even look at a camera without panicking." Mia sits beside me, her expression thoughtful. "What about talking to a therapist?" I laugh humorlessly. "And tell them what? That I'm being stalked by a shadow monster in my photos?" "No," Mia says patiently. "But you could talk about the anxiety, the fear, the way it's affecting your work and your relationships. You don't have to go into the supernatural details. I consider this for a moment. The idea of opening up to a stranger is daunting, but maybe Mia has a point. I'll think about it," I concede. Mia nods, then takes a deep breath. "There's something else we need to discuss, Em. Your family. They're really worried. Your mom called me yesterday practically in tears." Guilt washes over me. I know. I don't know what to say to them. "You don't have to say much," Mia assures me. "Just let them know you're okay. Maybe consider going to dinner this Sunday." The thought of facing my family, of trying to act normal when my world has been turned upside down, sends a wave of panic through me. But I know Mia's right. I can't keep pushing them away. "Okay," I say finally. "I'll call Mom, and I'll go to dinner." Mia smiles, squeezing my hand. "That's great, Em, really. It'll be good for you to get out of this apartment, to be around people who love you." As Mia gets ready to leave, promising to check in on me tomorrow, I feel a mix of gratitude and apprehension. The isolation of the past weeks has been suffocating, but it's also felt safe. Stepping back into the world, even in this small way, feels terrifyingly vulnerable. Once I'm alone again, I pick up my phone, staring at my mom's number. My finger hovers over the call button for a long moment before I finally press it. "Emily?" My mom's voice is filled with relief and concern. "Honey, is that you?" "Yeah, Mom," I say, feeling tears prick at my eyes again. "It's me. I'm sorry I haven't been in touch. I've been going through some stuff." There's a pause, and when my mom speaks again, her voice is gentle. "Oh, sweetheart, we've been so worried. Are you okay? Do you need anything?" I swallow hard, fighting back a fresh wave of tears. I'm not great, Mom, but I'm dealing with it. I just needed some time." "I understand," she says, though I can hear the hurt in her voice. "You know we're here for you, right? Whatever you need." "I know," I whisper. "Thanks, Mom. I was thinking maybe I could come to dinner on Sunday, if that's okay." The joy in her voice is palpable. "Of course it's okay. Oh, Emily, we'd love to have you. I'll make your favorite lasagna." As we say our goodbyes, I feel a strange mix of emotions. Relief at reconnecting, anxiety about the upcoming dinner, and underneath it all, a persistent fear of the entity that still lurks in the shadows of my life. The next few days pass in a blur of preparation. With Mia's help, I clean my apartment, do laundry, try to make myself look somewhat presentable. But as Sunday approaches, my anxiety grows. On the morning of the dinner, I stand in front of my closet, staring at clothes I haven't worn in weeks. Nothing feels right. Everything feels like a costume, a facade to hide the turmoil inside me. As I'm about to give up and cancel, my phone buzzes with a text from Mia. "You've got this, Em. Remember, they love you no matter what." Taking a deep breath, I choose a simple outfit and force myself to get ready. The drive to my parents' house feels surreal, the familiar streets now seeming strange and foreboding. When I pull into the driveway, I sit in the car for a long moment, trying to calm my racing heart. Then, summoning all my courage, I step out and walk to the front door. Before I can even knock, it swings open. My mom stands there, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Emily," she breathes, pulling me into a tight hug. And just like that, I'm home. The fear and anxiety don't disappear completely, but they recede, overpowered by the warmth of my mother's embrace. Inside, my dad and sister greet me with equal enthusiasm. My nephews, oblivious to the tension of the past weeks, clamor for my attention, showing me new toys and telling me about school. As we sit down to dinner, the familiar chatter and laughter washing over me, I feel something inside me start to heal. The shadow entity still lurks at the edges of my mind, a problem to be faced another day. But here, surrounded by the love of my family, I remember who I am beyond the fear and isolation. When my sister asks about my work, I tense for a moment. But then I take a deep breath and say, "Actually, I'm taking a bit of a break right now, exploring some new directions." My dad nods approvingly. "That's great, kiddo. Sometimes you need to step back to move forward, right?" I smile, feeling a wave of gratitude for their unquestioning support. "Right, Dad. That's exactly it." As the evening winds down, my mom pulls me aside. "Emily, honey," she says softly, "I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I want you to know that we're here for you. Always. You don't have to face anything alone." I hug her tightly, feeling tears threaten again. "Thanks, Mom. I'm working through some stuff, but I'm going to be okay." And for the first time in weeks, I actually believe it. The road ahead is still uncertain. The shadow still looms. But I'm not alone. And maybe, just maybe, that will be enough to see me through. As I drive home that night, I feel a shift inside me. The isolation that has been my shield has also been my prison. Opening up, reconnecting with my loved ones, hasn't solved the problem of the entity, but it's reminded me of who I am, of the strength I have within me and around me. Tomorrow I'll face the shadows again. I'll continue to work with Dr. Blackwood to find a way to banish this thing from my life. But I'll do it knowing that I have a support system, people who love me even when they don't understand what I'm going through. The future is still uncertain, my relationship with photography still fraught with fear. But for the first time in weeks, I feel a glimmer of hope. Whatever comes next, I know now that I don't have to face it alone. I sit in Dr. Blackwood's cluttered office, surrounded by ancient tomes and strange artifacts. The air is thick with the scent of old books and incense. My hands tremble as I clutch a dusty photo album, its weight feeling far heavier than it should. "Are you sure you're ready for this, Miss Sawyer?" Dr. Blackwood asks, his piercing blue eyes studying me intently. I take a deep breath, steadying myself. "I have to be. We need to find out where this all started." He nods gravely. "Very well. But remember, looking back at these images could strengthen the entity's connection to you. We must proceed with caution." With shaking hands, I open the album. It's a chronicle of my photographic journey, from my first blurry snapshots as a teenager to more recent professional work. As I flip through the pages, I feel a mix of nostalgia and dread. "Stop," Dr. Blackwood says suddenly, pointing to an image. "There, do you see it?" I lean in, squinting at the photo. It's a landscape shot from a trip I took to Yosemite 5 years ago. At first I don't see anything unusual, but then in the shadowy area beneath a cluster of trees I catch a glimpse of something. A darker patch of shadow, barely perceptible, but undeniably there. "Oh my God," I whisper, my blood running cold. "It's here, this far back." Dr. Blackwood nods, his expression grim. "This may well be the first appearance. Can you tell me about this trip? Anything unusual happen?" I close my eyes, trying to remember. It was just a weekend getaway. I was feeling burned out, needed to reconnect with nature. I remember hiking to this spot at dawn, setting up my tripod. It was so peaceful, so quiet. As I speak, the memory becomes more vivid. I can almost feel the cool morning air, smell the pine needles underfoot. Wait, I say, my eyes snapping open. There was something. Just as I was about to take the shot, I felt, I don't know how to describe it, like a cold wind, but there was no breeze. And for a split second I thought I saw something move in the shadows. But when I looked again, there was nothing there. Dr. Blackwood leans back in his chair, stroking his beard thoughtfully. Interesting. It sounds like you may have inadvertently captured the entity in a moment of manifestation. But why? I ask, frustration creeping into my voice. Why me? Why that moment? He sighs, reaching for one of his books. These entities, Miss Sawyer, they're drawn to liminal spaces, thresholds between one state and another. Dawn is one such time, the boundary between night and day, and you, in that moment, were in a liminal state yourself, burned out, as you said, seeking renewal. It may have sensed an opportunity. I shake my head, trying to process this information. So what, it just latched onto me? Hitched a ride in my photos? In a manner of speaking, yes, Dr. Blackwood nods. But it's more complex than that. These creatures, they feed on captured moments, on the energy of frozen time. Your talent, your ability to truly capture the essence of a moment, would have been irresistible to it. I feel sick to my stomach. So it's my fault? My talent brought this thing into our world? Dr. Blackwood's expression softens. No, Miss Sawyer. You are as much a victim in this as anyone. The entity was already here, already seeking a way to manifest more fully. You were simply the right conduit, at the right time. I stand up, pacing the small office. This is insane. All this time it's been with me, growing stronger with every photo I've taken. Emily, Dr. Blackwood says, using my first name for the first time. I know this is overwhelming, but we must focus. Now that we know the origin, we can work on severing its connection to you. I turn to face him, fear and determination warring within me. How? How do we stop this thing? He stands, moving to a locked cabinet in the corner of the room. There are rituals, ancient methods of banishing such entities, but I must warn you, they are not without risk. The creature will not go quietly. As Dr. Blackwood retrieves a small, ornate box from the cabinet, I feel a chill run down my spine. What kind of risks are we talking about? He opens the box, revealing a strange, silvery object that looks like a cross between a camera and a medieval torture device. This is an ethereal capturer. It's designed to trap entities like the one haunting you, but using it, it will require you to confront the creature directly, to look it in the eye, so to speak. I swallow hard, staring at the device. And if I do that? If I trap it? Dr. Blackwood's expression is grave. Best case scenario? The entity is banished, your connection to it severed. Worst case, it could use that moment of direct contact to fully manifest in our world. The weight of the decision presses down on me. I think of all the moments I've captured over the years, the joy and beauty I've frozen in time. But I also think of the shadow lurking in those images, growing stronger, reaching out. I'll do it, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. Whatever it takes. I need my life back. Dr. Blackwood nods, a hint of approval in his eyes. Very well. We'll need to prepare carefully. The ritual must be performed at dawn in the place where you first encountered the entity. My heart races at the thought of returning to that spot in Yosemite. When? The sooner the better, he replies. The equinox is in 3 days. It's a time of balance between light and dark, an ideal moment for such workings. Can you be ready by then? I nod, determination setting in. I'll be ready. As I leave Dr. Blackwood's office, my mind is reeling. The knowledge that this entity has been with me for 5 years, growing stronger with each click of my shutter, is almost too much to bear. But now, at least, I have a plan. A way to fight back. I drive home in a daze, the familiar streets of San Francisco blurring around me. When I arrive at my apartment, I'm surprised to find Mia waiting for me. "Hey," she says, concern etched on her face. "How did it go with Dr. Blackwood?" I let her in, collapsing onto the couch. It's a lot, Mia. We found out when it started. 5 years ago on that trip to Yosemite." Mia's eyes widen. 5 years? Oh, I nod, feeling tears start to well up. All this time, every photo I've taken, it's been there, watching, growing. Mia sits beside me, putting an arm around my shoulders. "But now you know, right? That's good. It means you can do something about it." I take a deep breath, steeling myself. "Yeah, about that. Dr. Blackwood has a plan, a ritual to trap the entity. But it's dangerous, Mia, and I have to go back there to Yosemite." Mia is quiet for a moment, then she squeezes my hand. "When do we leave?" I look at her, startled. "We? Mia, no. I can't ask you to." She cuts me off, her expression determined. "You're not asking, I'm telling. You're my best friend, Emily. I'm not letting you face this alone." Tears spill over, and I pull her into a tight hug. "Thank you," I whisper. The next few days pass in a blur of preparation. Dr. Blackwood gives us a crash course in protective rituals and wards. We pack camping gear, holy water, and more arcane items than I ever thought I'd own. As we drive towards Yosemite, the familiar landscape rolling by outside the window, I feel a mix of terror and determination. This entity has been a part of my life for 5 years. An unseen parasite feeding on my art, my passion. It's time to end it. We arrive at the park late in the evening, setting up camp near the trailhead that will lead us to the fateful spot. As night falls, the forest around us seems to come alive with shadows and whispers. "Try to get some sleep," Mia says, zipping up her sleeping bag. "Big day tomorrow." I nod, though I doubt sleep will come easily. As I lie in the darkness, listening to the night sounds of the forest, my mind wanders back to that morning 5 years ago. The peace I felt, the connection to nature, the joy of capturing a perfect moment, and the unseen darkness that slipped into my life. Just before dawn, we break camp and begin the hike. The forest is misty, the first light of day barely penetrating the canopy. Every shadow seems to move, every rustle in the underbrush makes me jump. "We're almost there," I say as we round a bend in the trail. It should be just up ahead. As we step into the clearing, my breath catches in my throat. It's exactly as I remember it, the majestic view of the valley, the gnarled old tree in the foreground. But now, knowing what happened here, it feels different, oppressive, dangerous. Dr. Blackwood begins setting up for the ritual, placing candles and strange symbols around the clearing. I stand at the edge, my old camera in one hand, the ethereal capturer in the other. "Remember," Dr. Blackwood says, his voice low and urgent, "when the moment comes, you must look directly into the lens. Do not flinch, do not look away, no matter what you see." I nod, my mouth dry with fear. As the sun begins to peek over the horizon, Dr. Blackwood starts to chant in a language I don't recognize. The air grows thick, heavy with an unseen energy, and then I see it. In the shadows beneath the old tree, something moves, a darkness deeper than the surrounding shade, taking shape before my eyes. "Now, Miss Sawyer," Dr. Blackwood shouts. With shaking hands, I raise the ethereal capturer to my eye. Through its lens, I see the entity clearly for the first time. It's a writhing mass of shadows, vaguely humanoid but wrong in ways that defy description. And at its center, 2 pinpricks of light that I realize with horror are eyes. Those eyes lock onto mine, and I feel a wave of cold wash over me. In my mind, I hear a voice, ancient, terrible, hungry. "Photographer," it hisses, "you have fed me well these long years. But now I will consume you entirely." I want to run, to scream, to look away, but I force myself to hold steady, to keep the creature in frame. "No," I say, my voice stronger than I feel. This ends now. You don't own me. You don't own my art. I press the button on the ethereal capturer. There's a flash of silvery light, a sound like reality tearing, and the entity shrieks, a sound that resonates in my bones. For a moment, everything goes dark. When my vision clears, I'm on my knees in the clearing. Mia and Dr. Blackwood are beside me, their faces etched with concern. Did it work? I gasp. Is it gone? Dr. Blackwood holds up the ethereal capturer. Inside its viewing window, I can see a swirling mass of darkness, trapped and contained. It worked, he confirms. The entity is captured. It can no longer harm you or anyone else. Relief washes over me, so strong it brings tears to my eyes. Mia pulls me into a hug, and I cling to her, feeling weeks of fear and tension finally release. As the sun fully rises, bathing the clearing in golden light, I feel something shift inside me. The weight I've been carrying, the fear that's been my constant companion, begins to lift. I pick up my old camera, looking at it with new eyes. For the first time in months, I feel the urge to capture this moment, not out of compulsion or fear, but out of genuine joy. May I? I ask Dr. Blackwood, gesturing to the camera. He nods, a small smile on his face. I think that would be entirely appropriate, Miss Sawyer. I raise the camera to my eye, framing the scene. The beautiful landscape, Mia and Dr. Blackwood's relieved faces, the morning light painting everything in warm hues. I take the shot, and for the first time in 5 years, I know with certainty that the only thing I'm capturing is the beauty of the moment. As we pack up to leave, I take one last look at the clearing. This place will always hold a special significance for me now, the site of both my unwitting entrapment and my ultimate liberation. Ready to go home? Mia asks, shouldering her backpack. I nod, feeling a smile spread across my face. Yeah, I'm ready to start the next chapter. As we hike back down the trail, I feel lighter with each step. The entity is gone, trapped and soon to be banished for good. My art, my passion, is my own again. I know the road ahead won't be easy. There will be explanations to give, relationships to mend, a career to rebuild. But for the first time in a long time, I'm not afraid of the future. I'm excited for it, because now when I look through my lens, I know I'll see only what's truly there, the beauty, the joy, the genuine moments of life. And that, I realize, is the greatest capture of all. The weight of dread sits like lead in my stomach as I stand before the abandoned warehouse. Its weathered facade looms against the twilight sky, windows like dead eyes staring back at me. This is madness, I know, but what choice do I have? My camera bag feels impossibly heavy as I push open the rusted door. It creaks ominously, the sound echoing through empty halls. Each step I take sends dust swirling, dancing in the pale beams of my flashlight. I've come prepared, or so I tell myself. Holy water, blessed by a priest who looked at me like I was insane. Silver nitrate mixed into my developing chemicals. Protective symbols hastily scrawled on the back of my hand in marker. My hands shake as I set up the tripod, each metallic click seeming to taunt me. You fool, they say, you're inviting it in. But I have to know. I have to see it, to understand what's haunting me, what's slowly devouring my soul through every photograph I take. The timer is set. 10 seconds that stretch into eternity as I position myself in the frame. My finger hovers over the shutter, a bead of cold sweat trailing down my spine. This is it, I think. No turning back now. I press the button. The flash explodes in the darkness, momentarily blinding me. And in that instant I swear I hear something. A rasping breath, a rustling of shadows where no wind blows. My heart pounds as I fumble with the memory card, desperate to see what I've captured. As the image loads on my laptop screen, I lean in close, scrutinizing every pixel. At first, I see nothing but my own terrified face staring back at me. Then, slowly, like a nightmare taking form, I notice it. A distortion in the air behind me, a darkness deeper than the shadows of the warehouse, And within that darkness, oh God, within that darkness, I see eyes, hungry, ancient eyes, boring into the camera, into me. I slam the laptop shut, but it's too late. I've seen it now, and I know with sickening certainty it's seen me too. The game has changed. No more hiding, no more denial. It's time to end this, one way or another, even if it means destroying everything I am. My hands tremble as I carefully hang the last print, the acrid smell of developing chemicals still clinging to my skin. The makeshift darkroom I've set up in my basement is a far cry from my once pristine studio, but it's all I have left now. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what I'm about to see. Okay, Emily, I whisper to myself. It's now or never. I flick on the red safety light, casting an eerie glow across the room. The photos from the abandoned warehouse slowly come into focus, and my heart begins to race. At first glance, they seem normal. Just me, standing alone in that decaying space, fear etched across my face. But I know better. I know what lurks in the shadows. As my eyes adjust, I notice something in the first photo. A slight distortion in the air behind me, barely perceptible. My fingers brush against the paper, tracing the outline of something. Show yourself, I mutter, moving to the next print. The distortion is more pronounced here. A darkness that doesn't quite fit. A void where there should be just empty space. My mouth goes dry as I force myself to continue, to face the truth captured in these images. The third photo makes me gasp. The entity is taking shape now, a mass of writhing shadows with a vaguely humanoid form. Its edges are blurred, as if it's not fully anchored in our reality. But what chills me to the bone are the eyes. 2 pinpricks of pale light glowing in the center of that inky blackness. Oh God, I choke out, stumbling back. My elbow knocks against the developing tray, sending it clattering to the floor. The sound jolts me back to reality, and I force myself to look at the final print. A scream catches in my throat. The entity is no longer hiding. It stands, if standing is even the right word for such an abomination, directly behind me in the photo. Its form towers over mine, a nightmarish collection of shadows and mist given terrible life. But it's the face that will haunt me until my dying day. Where there should be features, there is only a swirling void, darker than the blackest night. But those eyes are crystal clear now, hungry, ancient, and unmistakably fixed on me. One shadowy tendril reaches out in the photo, mere inches from touching my shoulder. I spin around, half expecting to see the creature looming behind me in the dark room. But there's nothing there, just the oppressive silence of my empty basement. I turn back to the photos, my mind reeling. What are you? I whisper, knowing I won't get an answer. What do you want from me? As if in response, I hear a creak from upstairs. My blood runs cold. I'm alone in the house. I made sure of that before starting this macabre developing session. Slowly, I reach for the baseball bat I've taken to keeping nearby. Another creak, closer this time. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, descending the basement stairs. Who's there? I call out, my voice shaking despite my best efforts. No response. The doorknob to the darkroom begins to turn, agonizingly slowly. I raise the bat, ready to swing, my heart pounding so hard I can hear it in my ears. The door swings open. Nothing. Just the empty hallway beyond. I let out a shaky breath, lowering the bat slightly. Get it together, Emily, I mutter to myself. You're letting your imagination run wild. But as I turn back to the photos, my blood turns to ice in my veins. The final print, the one with the clearest image of the entity, has changed. The shadowy tendril is no longer reaching for my shoulder in the picture. It's pointing directly at the darkroom door. A gust of cold air hits me, and I spin around. The door slams shut with a bang that echoes through the small space. I lunge for the handle, but it won't budge. No, I panic, yanking with all my might. This isn't happening. A low chuckle emanates from behind me, a sound that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I whirl around, bat raised, but the room appears empty. "Show yourself!" I scream, my voice cracking with fear. "What do you want from me?" The red safety light flickers, plunging the room into momentary darkness. When it stabilizes, I see it. A patch of shadow darker than the rest, slowly coalescing into that nightmarish form I've seen in the photos. "Your fear," a voice whispers, seeming to come from inside my own head. "Your essence, your soul." I back away until I hit the wall, the bat slipping from my numb fingers. "Why me?" I manage to choke out. "Why my photos?" The entity seems to grow, filling more of the small room. Those pale eyes fix on me and I feel a cold that goes beyond physical sensations seep into my bones. "You opened the door," it says, its voice like gravel scraping against my mind. "That first photo, in the old cemetery, you caught a glimpse of what lies beyond the veil, and in doing so you invited us in." Memory flashes through my mind. A late-night photo shoot in a historic graveyard. A strange lens flare I had dismissed at the time. "Us?" I whisper, dreading the answer. A sound that might be laughter ripples through the darkness. "You think I'm alone? There are countless hungry shadows waiting for fools like you to let them through." I shake my head, desperately trying to deny the horror before me. "This can't be real. You can't be real." "Oh, but I am," the entity purrs, moving closer. "And soon, you'll be a part of me, just like all the others." "Others?" I gasp. "What others?" Images flash before my eyes. Missing persons reports, unexplained disappearances. Photographers, artists, all vanished without a trace. "No," I moan, sliding down the wall as my legs give out. The entity looms over me, its form billowing like smoke. "Your photographs are a window, Emily. A window I've been slowly pushing open. And now?" A tendril of shadow reaches for my face. "Now it's time to step through." I squeeze my eyes shut, bracing for whatever horrific fate awaits me. But instead of cold shadow, I feel nothing. Cautiously, I open my eyes. The entity is still there, but it seems to be struggling, its form flickering like a bad TV signal. "What's happening?" I whisper, hardly daring to hope. The creature lets out a sound of frustration that makes my ears ring. "The photos," it hisses. "You haven't finished developing them all. The window isn't fully open yet." My eyes dart to the half-empty developing tray on the floor, the remaining undeveloped sheets scattered around it. A desperate plan forms in my mind. "You need the photos," I say, my voice growing stronger. "You need me to complete the set." The entity's form stabilizes slightly, those pale eyes narrowing. "Yes," it admits reluctantly. "The connection must be completed. Finish your work, photographer. Embrace your fate." I slowly stand up, my mind racing. "And if I don't?" I challenge. "If I destroy the undeveloped photos right now?" The creature lets out a bone-chilling shriek, lunging towards me. But it's like it hits an invisible wall, unable to touch me. "You wouldn't dare," it snarls. "Your precious art, your life's work." I laugh, and the sound surprises even me. "My life's work? You've already taken that from me. Every photo I've taken since that night in the graveyard is tainted." I reach for the undeveloped sheets, holding them up. "These are the last pure images I have, and I choose to destroy them to keep you from fully entering our world." "No," the entity roars, its form writhing in fury. "You don't understand what you're doing. The power these images could grant you, the secrets of the universe they could reveal." I hesitate for a moment, curiosity warring with my survival instinct. "What secrets?" I ask, despite myself. The creature's form seems to calm, sensing an opportunity. "Life, death, the very fabric of reality," it says, its voice taking on an almost hypnotic quality. "All this and more could be yours. Just finish developing the photos. See the truth with your own eyes." For a heartbeat, I'm tempted. The photographer in me, the artist always searching for the perfect shot, yearns to see what lies beyond that threshold. But then I remember the fear, the sleepless nights, the clients fleeing from their haunted wedding photos. I think of all the other photographers who might have given in to this temptation, now lost to the hungry shadows. No, I say firmly, gripping the undeveloped sheets tightly. Whatever secrets are out there, they're not worth the cost. I choose the light. With that, I lunge for the chemicals on the workbench. Before the entity can react, I pour them over the remaining photos, watching as the images dissolve into a messy blur. The creature lets out a howl of rage and pain that threatens to split my skull. The shadows writhe and twist, its form unraveling before my eyes. "You fool!" it shrieks, its voice fading. "You've doomed yourself. Without the complete set, you'll be trapped between worlds, neither fully here nor there." I stand my ground as the entity dissipates, the darkness receding until I'm left alone in the dimly lit darkroom. The door swings open on its own, no longer held shut by otherworldly forces. Exhausted, I sink to the floor, surrounded by the remnants of my ruined photographs. The entity's final words echo in my mind, trapped between worlds. What does that mean for me? As the adrenaline fades, I realize the truth of my situation. I've sacrificed everything, my career, my passion, possibly even my connection to reality itself, to close this supernatural door. But the cost of leaving it open was far too high. I gather the ruined photos and make my way upstairs. There's a fire pit in the backyard, rarely used but perfect for my needs now. As I watch the last of my work go up in flames, I make a vow. No more photographs, I whisper to the night sky. No more windows to other worlds. Whatever happens next, I face it with my eyes and my lens firmly shut. The fire crackles, consuming the last physical links to the entity. But as I turn to go back inside, I catch a glimpse of movement in my peripheral vision. A shadow, darker than the night, flitting at the edge of the firelight. I squeeze my eyes shut, refusing to look directly at it. "It's over," I say firmly, unsure if I'm trying to convince whatever might be out there or myself. "You have no power here anymore." As I walk back to the house, I feel a chill that has nothing to do with the night air. I may have won this battle, but I can't shake the feeling that the war is far from over. The entity's final words haunt me. Trapped between worlds, what horrors await me in this twilight existence I've chosen? Only time will tell. But for now, I've kept the hungry shadows at bay, and that will have to be enough. I close the door behind me, leaving the night and its secrets outside. Tomorrow, I'll face the challenge of rebuilding my life without the camera that has defined me for so long. But tonight, I've earned a moment of peace, however fragile it might be. As I settle into bed, my eyes drift to the empty space on my nightstand where my camera used to sit. For a moment, I could swear I see a flicker of movement in that emptiness, a hint of pale eyes watching me from the shadows. I turn away, pulling the covers over my head like a child hiding from imaginary monsters. But deep down, I know the truth. The monsters are all too real, and they're waiting just beyond the veil of our reality, hungry for the next unsuspecting soul to open a window into their realm. Never again, I vow silently, never again will I be that window. Whatever it takes, whatever I have to sacrifice, I'll keep that door firmly shut. As sleep finally claims me, I can't shake one last chilling thought. In a world full of cameras, in an age where every phone can capture an image, how long before someone else unknowingly invites the shadows in? The battle may be over, but the war for our reality has only just begun. The realization hits me like a physical blow, driving the air from my lungs. I stumble backwards, collapsing into my worn office chair as the full weight of what I must do crashes down upon me. "No," I whisper, my voice hoarse. "There has to be another way." But deep down, I know there isn't. The entity in my photos, this soul-eating abomination, has left me with no choice. To survive, I must destroy everything. My life's work, my passion, my very identity as a photographer. I glance around my studio, once a sanctuary of creativity, now a prison of fear. Every frame on the wall, every album on the shelf, feels tainted, cursed. My gaze falls on my prized camera, sitting innocently on the desk. How many horrors has it unknowingly captured? I can't do it, I moan, burying my face in my hands. Photography is all I have. It's who I am. As if in response, I hear a low chuckle emanating from nowhere and everywhere at once. I jerk upright, my heart pounding. Who you are. The entity's voice slithers into my mind, cold and mocking. You're nothing but a meal waiting to be devoured, Emily. Your precious art is just the appetizer. I spin around, searching for the source of the voice, but the room remains empty. Show yourself, I demand, my voice shaking despite my attempt at bravery. Oh, but I already have, it purrs. Every time you press that shutter, every image you create, you invite me further into your world, into your soul. A chill runs down my spine as I remember all the photos I've taken since this nightmare began. How many people have I unknowingly exposed to this horror? What do you want from me, I ask, though I fear I already know the answer. The air in the room seems to thicken, shadows deepening in the corners. I want you to keep doing what you love, Emily, the entity says, its tone almost gentle. Take more photos, capture more souls, feed me. I shake my head violently. Never. I won't help you hurt anyone else. A sound like shattering glass fills the room, and I watch in horror as cracks spiderweb across every framed photo on my walls. In each one, I catch glimpses of that shadowy form, those pale, hungry eyes. Then you leave me no choice. The entity snarls. Destroy your work and I'll be banished for now. But know this, you'll be destroying yourself in the process. Without your art, you're nothing. An empty shell, just waiting to be filled. Tears stream down my face as I look around at my life's work. Memories captured in silver and light, moments of beauty frozen in time. Can I really give it all up? You're wrong, I say, my voice growing stronger. I'm more than just my photographs, and I choose to live, even if it means starting over. The entity lets out a bone-chilling shriek that makes me clamp my hands over my ears. Fool, you have no idea what you're giving up. The power, the knowledge, I could show you things beyond your wildest imagination. For a moment I hesitate. The artist in me, always hungry for new visions, new perspectives, is tempted. But then I remember the terror in my clients' eyes when they saw their haunted wedding photos, the missing persons reports of other photographers who might have given in to this temptation. No, I say firmly, reaching for my camera. Whatever you're offering, it's not worth the cost. Wait! The entity howls as I raise the camera above my head. You don't understand what you're doing. I pause, the camera poised to smash against the floor. Then explain it to me. What happens if I do this? The shadows in the room seem to coalesce, forming a vaguely humanoid shape with those pale, terrible eyes. You'll be severing your connection to the world beyond, it says, its voice a mix of anger and what almost sounds like desperation. The gift you have, the ability to see and capture what others can't, it will be gone forever. I consider this for a moment. But the nightmares will end? The danger to others? The entity's form flickers. Yes, it admits reluctantly. But at what cost to yourself? Your art, your passion, is not worth the lives of others, I interrupt. Taking a deep breath, I look around my studio one last time. I'm sorry, I whisper, unsure if I'm apologizing to the entity, to myself, or to the art I'm about to destroy. With a primal scream of grief and determination, I smash the camera against the ground. The sound of shattering glass and plastic is drowned out by an otherworldly howl of rage and pain. The entity's form writhes and twists, seeming to unravel before my eyes. You'll regret this, It shrieks as it fades away. You've doomed yourself to a half-life, neither here nor there. As the last echoes of its voice fade, I'm left standing alone in my studio, surrounded by the wreckage of my old life. The framed photos on the walls are now just empty glass, the images wiped clean as if they never existed. I sink to my knees, overcome by the magnitude of what I've done. But as the adrenaline fades, I feel something else, a lightness, as if a great weight has been lifted from my shoulders. "It's over," I whisper, looking at the remains of my camera. "It's finally over." But even as I say the words, I can't shake the entity's final warning. What does it mean to live a half-life? And in a world full of cameras and captured images, how long before someone else unknowingly opens the door I've just slammed shut? As I begin the long process of cleaning up and starting over, I make a silent vow. I may no longer be a photographer, but I'll find a new way to create, to express myself. And more importantly, I'll find a way to warn others of the dangers lurking just beyond the lens. The battle may be over, but something tells me the war has just begun. The crackling of flames fills the night air as I stand before the growing bonfire in my backyard. Tears stream down my face, each one a testament to the memories I'm forcibly erasing. Years of work, of passion, of my very identity, all of it feeding the hungry flames before me. "I can't believe I'm doing this," I whisper, my voice choked with emotion. My trembling hands reach into the cardboard box at my feet, pulling out handful after handful of photographs. Wedding portraits, landscapes, street scenes, each one a piece of my soul, now fuel for this pyre of desperation. As I toss another stack into the fire, a familiar face catches my eye. It's a portrait of my mother taken on her 60th birthday. Her smile, forever frozen in time, seems to plead with me. "I'm sorry, Mom," I sob, clutching the photo to my chest. "I have to do this. I have to end it." Just as I'm about to throw it into the flames, a gust of wind whips through the yard. The photo is torn from my grasp, dancing away on the breeze. "No!" I cry out, lunging after it. But as I chase the errant photograph, a chill runs down my spine. The wind isn't natural. It's too focused, too purposeful. And in its howl, I swear I hear a voice. "You can't escape us that easily, Emily," it whispers, the sound seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I spin around, searching the shadows beyond the bonfire's light. "Show yourself," I demand, my voice cracking with fear and defiance. A low chuckle emanates from the darkness. "Oh, but I am showing myself," the entity purrs. "Look closely at your precious flames." With growing horror, I turn back to the bonfire. The smoke seems to be coalescing, forming shapes that twist and writhe in ways that defy natural law. And within that roiling mass, I see them, those pale, hungry eyes that have haunted my photographs and my nightmares. "No," I breathe, stumbling backwards. "This isn't possible. I'm destroying everything. You should be getting weaker, not stronger." The smoke shape seems to grow, looming over me. "Foolish girl," it hisses. "Did you think it would be that easy? Every image you burn feeds me. Every memory you destroy makes me stronger." Panic grips me as I realize the terrible truth. In my desperation to be rid of this horror, I've played right into its hands. Then what do? I cry out, falling to my knees. How do I stop this? The entity's laughter fills the air, a sound of cruel triumph. "You don't," it says simply. "You've opened the door, Emily, and now I'm stepping through." The smoke from the bonfire begins to pour towards me, tendrils of darkness reaching out with terrifying purpose. I scramble backwards, my heart pounding in my chest. "Stay away from me," I scream, searching frantically for anything I can use as a weapon. My hand closes around the neck of a bottle, lighter fluid, used to start the bonfire. Without thinking, I hurl it into the flames. The explosion rocks the yard, sending embers and half-burned photographs scattering into the night sky. The smoke creature lets out an otherworldly shriek of pain and rage. For a moment I dare to hope that I've heard it, driven it back. But as the flames die down, I see the truth. The entity is still there, but now it's not confined to the smoke. It stands before me, a writhing mass of shadows given terrible form. "You've only made me stronger," it growls, those pale eyes fixed on me with predatory intent. And now, I'm done playing games. I back away, my mind racing. What have I missed? There has to be a way to stop this, to close the door I've unwittingly opened. Then it hits me. The photograph of my mother, blown away by the wind. It's the last untainted image, the one piece of my work not touched by the entity's corruption. I have to find it, I mutter to myself, eyes darting around the darkened yard. The entity cocks its head, a gesture unnervingly human. "Find what?" it demands. There's nowhere left to run, Emily. No more tricks to try. I steel myself, meeting those terrible eyes. "You're right," I say, forcing a calm I don't feel into my voice. No more running. No more hiding. With that, I turn and sprint into the darkness beyond the bonfire's light. The entity's roar of fury follows me, along with the sound of pursuit. But I don't look back. I can't. Every second counts. My eyes scan the ground desperately as I run, searching for that one crucial photograph. Branches whip at my face, roots threaten to trip me, but I push on. Come on, I pant, panic rising with each passing moment. Then, I see it. A flash of white against the dark grass. The portrait of my mother miraculously unburned. I dive for it just as a cold hand grips my ankle. The entity has caught up. "It's over," it snarls, beginning to drag me back towards the bonfire. "Accept your fate." But my fingers close around the photograph. With the last of my strength, I roll onto my back, holding the image up like a shield. "You're right," I gasp. "It is over. But not for me." I tear the photograph in half. The entity's scream is like nothing I've ever heard before, a sound of such primal anguish that it threatens to shatter my very sanity. Its form begins to unravel, shadows dispersing like smoke in the wind. "What have you done?" It wails, its voice fading. "Close the door," I whisper, watching as the last traces of the entity disappear into the night. I lay there for a long moment, the torn halves of my mother's portrait clutched to my chest, sobs racking my body. The danger has passed, but at what cost? As dawn breaks, I slowly make my way back to the smoldering remains of the bonfire. The yard is a disaster, scorched grass, scattered ashes, and the lingering smell of smoke and fear. I look down at the torn photograph in my hands. "I'm sorry, Mom," I say softly. "I hope you can forgive me." With a heavy heart, I realize that this isn't truly the end. The entity may be gone, but the knowledge of what lurks beyond our reality remains. And in a world filled with cameras and captured images, how long before someone else unknowingly opens that terrible door? As I begin the long process of cleaning up and rebuilding, I make a silent vow. I may no longer be a photographer, but I'll find a new way to create, to express myself, and more importantly, I'll find a way to warn others of the dangers that can hide within a single innocent snapshot. The bonfire of my past life has burned out. Now, it's time to rise from the ashes and face whatever comes next. My fingers fly across the keyboard, a frantic dance of desperation. The soft glow of the computer screen illuminates my face, casting eerie shadows in my dimly lit home office. I've destroyed my physical photographs, my cameras, but there's one last frontier to tackle: my online portfolio. Come on, I mutter, navigating to my website's control panel. Just delete already. But as I hover over the delete all button, a chill runs down my spine. The cursor begins to move on its own, sliding away from the button no matter how hard I fight it. "No," I whisper, my voice trembling. "This can't be happening." I try to force quit the browser, but it's frozen. The screen flickers, and for a split second I swear I see a face in the static. those same pale, hungry eyes that have been haunting my photographs. A message pops up on the screen. "Are you sure you want to do that, Emily?" My blood runs cold. This isn't a standard system message. This is something else entirely. With shaking hands, I type back, "Who are you?" The response is almost instantaneous. "You know who we are. We've been with you all along in every pixel, every byte of data." "Get out of my computer," I shout, slamming my fists on the desk. "I destroyed the photos, the cameras. You have no power here." A chilling laugh emerges from my speakers, distorted and inhuman. "Oh, Emily, you still don't understand, do you? The digital realm is our playground now. Your quaint little bonfire means nothing in the face of the infinite web." I try to unplug the computer, but the cord seems to writhe in my hands like a living thing refusing to budge. Panic rises in my throat as I realize I'm losing control, not just of my website, but of my entire digital life. "What do you want?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. The screen flickers again, and this time the entity's face comes into full view, a swirling mass of shadows with those terrifying pale eyes at its center. "We want what we've always wanted, Emily, to feed, to grow, and you've given us the perfect gateway." I watch in horror as my online portfolio begins to change. Photos I've never taken appear, each one showcasing scenes of subtle wrongness, shadows where there should be light, figures lurking just out of focus. And in every image, those eyes stare back at me. "Stop it," I cry out, frantically trying to regain control of my mouse. "Those aren't my photos." "They are now," the entity purrs, "and soon they'll be seen by thousands. Millions, perhaps. Imagine how many souls we can touch through your little website, Emily. How many new gateways we can open." The full magnitude of what's happening hits me like a physical blow. I've been so focused on destroying my physical photographs that I completely underestimated the danger of my digital presence. In trying to cut off the entity's access to our world, I've inadvertently given it an even larger stage. "I won't let you do this," I say, gritting my teeth. "I'll find a way to stop you." The entity's laughter fills the room again. "And how do you plan to do that? Every device is a potential portal now. Every screen, a window for us to peer through. Face it, Emily, you've lost." But as I stare at the grotesque images flooding my website, a desperate idea forms. "You're right," I say, forcing calm into my voice. "I can't fight you in the digital realm. You're too strong there." The entity's face on the screen seems to grow larger, those pale eyes gleaming with triumph. "Finally, you understand. Embrace it, Emily. Join us in the shadows." "Never," I spit back. Then, taking a deep breath, I add, "But I can't stop you either. So go ahead, use my website, spread your infection." There's a pause, and I can almost feel the entity's confusion. "What are you playing at?" it demands. I lean in close to the screen, my voice low and determined. "I'm calling your bluff. You need me to maintain this website to keep it active. Without me, it's just another dead link in an ocean of digital noise." The images on the screen start to flicker and distort as the entity processes my words. "You wouldn't dare," it hisses. "Watch me," I reply, reaching for my phone. With trembling fingers, I pull up my hosting provider's contact information. "Wait!" the entity shrieks, its face dissolving into a chaotic swirl of pixels. "What are you doing?" I press the call button, holding the phone to my ear. "Hello? Yes, this is Emily. I need to cancel my hosting account immediately. Yes, I understand I'll lose all my data. That's exactly what I want." The computer screen goes wild, images and text flying past faster than I can process. The entity's voice comes from every speaker in the room, a cacophony of rage and desperation. "Stop! You're making a terrible mistake." But I stand firm, confirming my cancellation to the confused customer service representative. As I hang up, I watch my website disappear, replaced by a generic account suspended message. The entity lets out one final, ear-splitting shriek before the computer goes dark. The sudden silence is deafening. I slump back in my chair, exhaustion washing over me. It's done, I whisper to the empty room. It's finally over. But even as relief floods through me, a nagging doubt remains. Have I truly banished the digital demons or merely cut off one head of a hydra? In a world where everyone carries a camera in their pocket, where social media feeds are an endless stream of images, how long before another unsuspecting soul opens a door to the shadows lurking just beyond our screens? As I sit in the darkness, surrounded by the ghosts of my digital life, I realize that my fight may be over, but the war has only just begun. And somewhere in the vast expanse of the internet, I swear I can still hear the faint echo of hungry, otherworldly laughter. My hands tremble as I hold the last memory card, a tiny plastic rectangle that feels impossibly heavy. The weight of everything it represents, my final photographs, the last potential link to the entity that's been haunting me, makes my breath catch in my throat. This is it, I whisper to myself, staring at the card. The last piece of the puzzle. The room around me is a disaster, littered with the remains of smashed cameras and torn photographs. I've destroyed everything else, but this memory card, I've been putting it off, dreading what I might find. With a deep breath, I slide the card into my laptop. As the files begin to load, a chill runs down my spine. What if I've missed something? What if a single image remains, trapping me forever in this nightmare? The folder opens, revealing thumbnails of the last shoot I did before everything went to hell. It was supposed to be a simple nature walk, capturing the beauty of the forest at dawn. But as I scroll through the images, my blood runs cold. In every shot, barely visible at first but growing clearer with each frame, is a shadow. A darkness that doesn't belong, with pale, hungry eyes staring directly at the camera. At me. No. I breathe, my finger hovering over the delete button. I have to end this. Now. But just as I'm about to erase everything, a voice speaks from behind me, sending ice through my veins. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Emily. I spin around, nearly falling out of my chair. There, in the corner of the room, is a swirling mass of shadows vaguely shaped like a person. Those same pale eyes from the photos stare at me, unblinking. You're not real, I stammer, backing away. I destroyed everything. You can't be here. The entity chuckles, a sound like gravel scraping against glass. Oh, but I am real. As real as the fear in your eyes, the sweat on your palms. And as long as a single image remains, I'll always have a way back. I glance at the laptop screen, at the thumbnails of those corrupted forest photos. Then I'll delete them all, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. I'll wipe the card clean. Will you? The entity asks, its form seeming to grow larger. Are you sure you haven't missed anything? A backup in the cloud, perhaps? A shared album with a friend? Doubt gnaws at me. Have I been thorough enough? In this digital age, could I ever truly be certain I've erased every trace? What do you want from me? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. The entity's eyes seem to glow brighter. What I've always wanted, Emily. A way into your world. A permanent anchor. And you're going to give it to me. Never? I spit back, reaching for the laptop. But before I can touch it, the screen flickers to life on its own. Images start flashing by, too fast for me to process. I catch glimpses of places I've never been, people I've never met, all tinged with that same otherworldly darkness. What is this? I demand, unable to look away from the hypnotic stream of images. The truth, the entity purrs. Every photograph you've ever taken has been a window, Emily, a tiny tear in the fabric between worlds. And now it's time to throw that window wide open. I feel a pressure building in my head, as if something is trying to claw its way into my mind through my eyes. Stop it, I cry out, squeezing my eyes shut. You can't fight it forever, the entity says, its voice somehow inside my head now. Embrace it. See the world as we see it. Take that final shot, Emily. Capture eternity. My eyes snap open of their own accord. The room around me seems to warp and twist, shadows deepening in impossible ways. And there, on my desk, my old camera sits waiting. I know I destroyed it, but somehow it's whole again, lens gleaming in the dim light. No, I moan, even as my hand reaches for it. I won't do it. I won't let you in. But my body moves against my will, fingers curling around the familiar shape of the camera. I raise it to my eye, the viewfinder showing a world beyond anything I've ever seen. Realms of shadow and light, beings of unimaginable form, all swirling together in a cosmic dance. That's it, the entity whispers, its excitement palpable. Just one click, one final shot to bridge the gap forever. My finger hovers over the shutter button. Everything I am screams to stop, to throw the camera down and run. But the pull is so strong, the curiosity so overwhelming. What wonders and horrors lie just beyond that thin barrier of reality? Emily! A new voice cuts through the haze, startling me. I blink, lowering the camera slightly. There in the doorway stands my sister Sarah. Her eyes are wide with fear and concern. Emily, what are you doing? Who are you talking to? I look back to where the entity was, but the corner is empty. The laptop screen is dark. Was it all in my head? Sarah? I croak, my throat dry. How long have you been there? She steps into the room cautiously. Long enough to hear you arguing with yourself. Em, you're scaring me. What's going on? I look down at the camera in my hands, then back at my sister. The pull to take that final shot is still there, a siren song of cosmic secrets. But Sarah's presence anchors me, reminding me of everything I have to lose. With a cry of determination, I hurl the camera to the ground. It shatters into 1,000 pieces, and for a moment I swear I hear an otherworldly scream of rage and frustration. I collapse to my knees, tears streaming down my face. Sarah rushes to my side, wrapping me in a protective embrace. It's okay, she soothes, stroking my hair. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. You're not alone, Emily. As I cling to my sister, I realize the truth in her words. The entity, whatever it was, fed on my isolation, my obsession. But I'm not alone. And maybe that's the key to truly banishing the darkness. Thank you, I whisper, looking up at Sarah. I think I'm ready to talk about what's been happening. As I begin to share my story, I feel a weight lifting. The final shot remains untaken, the door to that other world firmly shut. For now, at least. But as I glance at the shattered remains of the camera, a tiny doubt lingers. In a world full of lenses and screens, how long before someone else is tempted to capture that which should remain unseen? The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of deep orange and purple. I stand at my apartment window, watching as the last vestiges of daylight fade away. My heart races, knowing what comes next. Please, I whisper to no one in particular. Not again, not tonight. But as if in response to my plea, the lights in my apartment flicker once, twice, and then go out completely. The sudden darkness is absolute, oppressive. I fumble for my phone, desperate for its comforting glow, but the screen remains stubbornly black. No, I mutter, panic rising in my throat. This can't be happening. The silence is deafening, broken only by the sound of my ragged breathing. Then from somewhere in the pitch-black room I hear it, a soft rustling like fabric brushing against furniture. But I live alone. Or at least, I should be alone. Who's there? I call out, my voice trembling despite my best efforts to sound brave. No response comes, but the rustling grows louder, closer. I back away slowly, my hands outstretched, feeling for any obstacles in my path. My back hits the wall, and I slide down to a crouching position, trying to make myself as small as possible. This isn't real, I tell myself, squeezing my eyes shut. It's all in your head, Emily. Just like the therapist said, you're having an episode. A low chuckle emanates from the darkness, sending chills down my spine. Oh, but I am real, Emily, a voice whispers, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. As real as the fear coursing through your veins right now. My eyes snap open, though it makes no difference in the inky blackness. You can't be here, I say, my voice stronger now, fueled by a mixture of terror and anger. I destroyed all the photos, all the cameras. I closed the door. Did you really think it would be that easy? The voice asks, amusement evident in its tone. You opened a window to our world, Emily. And now, we're stepping through. A cold breeze brushes against my cheek, and I stifle a scream. The entity is close, so close I can almost feel its presence looming over me. What do you want? I demand, pressing myself harder against the wall. Why won't you leave me alone? The darkness seems to thicken if such a thing is possible. When the entity speaks again, its voice is right next to my ear. We want what we've always wanted, to feed, to grow, and you, my dear Emily, are the perfect conduit. I lash out blindly, my hand passing through empty air. I won't let you use me, I snarl. I won't be your puppet. The entity's laughter fills the room, a sound that threatens to shatter my sanity. You still don't understand, do you? Every photograph you've ever taken, every image you've captured, they're all windows. Tiny tears in the fabric of reality. And now, it's time to throw those windows wide open. A pressure builds in my head, as if something is trying to claw its way into my mind. Images flash before my eyes, places I've never been, people I've never met, all tinged with an otherworldly darkness. Stop it, I cry out, clutching my head. Get out of my mind. But your mind is so deliciously full of potential, the entity purrs. Think of the worlds you could show us, the realities you could capture with your lens. Through the haze of terror and pain, a thought strikes me. My lens, I repeat slowly. That's it. You need me to take the photos, to keep creating those windows. The pressure in my head eases slightly, and I sense a flicker of uncertainty from the entity. You are our gateway, it admits, our anchor in this world. A plan begins to form, born of desperation and a newfound understanding. Then you've made a mistake, I say, forcing steel into my voice, because I'll never take another photograph again. I'll gouge out my own eyes if I have to, but I won't be your tool. The darkness roils around me, the entity's anger palpable. You wouldn't dare, it hisses. Photography is your life, your passion. You'd be nothing without it. I laugh, a harsh sound that surprises even me. Maybe so, but I'd rather be nothing than be your puppet. With shaking hands, I reach into my pocket and pull out my phone. It may not turn on, but its edge is sharp enough for what I need to do. What are you doing? The entity demands, a note of panic creeping into its voice. I raise the phone to my face, its edge hovering just above my eye. Closing the window, I say grimly. Permanently. Wait! The entity shrieks. The darkness surges towards me, but it's too late. Just as the sharp edge touches my skin, a blinding light fills the room. I blink, momentarily dazed as my eyes adjust. The lights have come back on. My phone buzzes to life in my hand, and the oppressive presence that filled the room moments ago is gone, leaving behind only a lingering chill and the fading echo of an otherworldly scream. I slump to the floor, my whole body shaking with the aftermath of adrenaline and terror. Tears stream down my face as the reality of what almost happened sinks in. Is it over? I whisper to the empty room. But even as relief washes over me, a nagging doubt remains. In a world where every phone is a camera, where images saturate our daily lives, can I ever truly close all the windows? And somewhere in the vast darkness beyond our reality, I know the entity waits, hungry and patient, for another unsuspecting soul to unknowingly invite it in. As I sit there, bathed in the harsh glow of my apartment lights, I make a silent vow. I may not be able to stop taking pictures entirely. The modern world makes that nearly impossible. But I can be vigilant. I can be careful. And maybe, just maybe, I can find a way to warn others of the dangers that lurk just beyond the frame, waiting for that perfect shot to bridge the gap between worlds. The darkness may have fallen, but I refuse to let it consume me. Not tonight. Not ever again. The darkness in my apartment is oppressive, a living thing that seems to pulse with malevolent intent. I've been standing frozen for what feels like hours, my back pressed against the wall, straining my ears for any sound of movement. The entity is here. I can feel it. But in this pitch blackness, I have no way of knowing where. Suddenly, a flash of lightning illuminates the room for a split second, and my heart stops. There, mere inches from my face, I see it. A mass of writhing shadows with glowing eyes reaching out towards me. I can't help it, I scream. The sound tears from my throat, raw and primal, as I lunge away from the apparition. I collide with something solid, my coffee table, I think, and go sprawling to the floor. "Oh, Emily," a voice purrs from the darkness, seeming to come from everywhere at once. "Did you really think you could escape me?" I scramble backwards, my hands searching blindly for anything I can use as a weapon. "Stay away from me," I shout, trying to keep the terror out of my voice. The entity chuckles, a sound like grinding glass that sets my teeth on edge. "But we've come so far together, you and I. Don't you want to see how our story ends?" Another flash of lightning, and I see it again. The mass of shadows has taken on a more defined shape now, vaguely humanoid but wrong in ways I can't quite describe. Those glowing eyes fix on me, hungry and ancient. "This isn't our story," I spit back, my hand closing around something solid, the leg of a chair. "It's my life, and you're not welcome in it." I swing the chair wildly in the direction I last saw the entity. There's a satisfying thud as it connects with something, followed by an inhuman shriek of rage and pain. For a moment, hope flares in my chest. Can it be hurt? Can I fight this thing? But then cold tendrils wrap around my wrists, yanking the chair from my grasp. It clatters to the floor somewhere in the darkness. "Foolish girl," the entity hisses, its voice now right next to my ear. "You opened the door. You invited us in with every photograph you took, and now it's time to pay the price." I feel something icy brush against my cheek, and I recoil in horror. "What do you want from me?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. The room seems to grow colder, the shadows deepening impossibly. When the entity speaks again, its voice resonates within my very bones. "We want what we've always wanted, Emily. To feed, to grow, to experience your world through the windows you so helpfully provided." Realization dawns on me, terrible and absolute. "The photographs," I breathe. "Every picture I took." A tiny tear in the fabric of reality, the entity confirms, a note of triumph in its voice. "And you, my dear, have taken so many. Imagine the feast you've prepared for us." My mind races, desperately searching for a way out. There has to be something, some weakness I can exploit. "But you need me," I say slowly, an idea forming. "You need me to keep taking pictures, to keep opening those windows." The entity pauses, and I sense a flicker of uncertainty. "You are our anchor," it admits reluctantly, "our gateway to this world." I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what I'm about to do. "Then I have a choice," I say, forcing strength into my voice, "and I choose to close the door. Permanently." Before the entity can react, I lunge for where I think my desk is. My hand closes around cold metal. Scissors. Perfect. "What are you doing?" the entity demands, a note of panic creeping into its otherworldly voice. I raise the scissors, pointing them towards my own eyes. "Cutting off your access," I say grimly. "If I can't see, I can't take pictures. No more windows. No more feast." "Wait!" the entity shrieks. The shadows around me writhe in agitation. "You wouldn't dare. Your art, your passion, are not worth the cost," I interrupt. "I'd rather live in darkness than be your puppet." The scissors inch closer to my face. I can feel the cold metal against my skin now, my hand trembling with the enormity of what I'm about to do. "Stop!" the entity howls. The room seems to shake with the force of its rage and fear. And in that moment of distraction, I make my move. Instead of plunging the scissors towards my eyes, I whirl around and stab them into the heart of the shadowy mass. An unearthly scream fills the air, threatening to shatter my eardrums. The darkness roils and twists, as if in agony. "You tricked us," the entity wails, its form beginning to unravel. I press my advantage, driving the scissors deeper. "No more," I growl. "This is my life, my world, and you're not welcome here." With a final ear-splitting shriek, the entity seems to implode. The oppressive darkness lifts, replaced by the soft glow of my apartment lights flickering back to life. I collapse to the floor, the scissors clattering beside me. Tears stream down my face as the adrenaline fades, leaving me shaking and spent. "Is it over?" I whisper to the empty room. But even as relief washes over me, a nagging doubt remains. In a world saturated with images, where every phone is a potential portal, can I ever truly be free? Or will there always be hungry shadows waiting just beyond the frame, searching for another unwitting photographer to invite them in? As I slowly pick myself up off the floor, I make a silent vow. I may not be able to stop taking pictures entirely. The modern world makes that nearly impossible. But I can be vigilant. I can be careful. And maybe, just maybe, I can find a way to warn others of the dangers that lurk just beyond the lens, waiting for that perfect shot to bridge the gap between worlds. The moment of truth has passed, but the battle, I fear, has only just begun. The entity's unearthly howl fills the air, a sound that threatens to shatter my sanity. My apartment has become a nightmare realm of writhing shadows and impossible angles. In the center of it all, those pale, hungry eyes fix on me with predatory intent. "It's over, Emily." The entity purrs, its voice a discordant mixture of triumph and anticipation. "You fought so hard, but in the end, you're just another meal." I back away, my heart pounding so hard I can feel it in my throat. My gaze darts around the room, searching desperately for anything I can use as a weapon. But what can hurt a being made of shadows and malevolent intent? "No," I say, forcing steel into my voice, even as terror threatens to overwhelm me. "This isn't over. I won't let you win." The entity's laughter reverberates through the room, making the walls seem to ripple and distort. "And how do you plan to stop us? Your precious cameras are destroyed. Your digital portfolio erased, you have nothing left." As it speaks, tendrils of darkness reach out towards me, icy cold where they brush against my skin. I recoil, bumping into my desk. Something clatters to the floor. My phone. In that moment, a desperate plan forms in my mind. "You're right," I say, slowly bending to pick up the phone. "I have nothing left, except this." The entity cocks its head, a gesture unnervingly human. "A phone? What do you think that will do against us?" I straighten up, holding the device like a shield. "It's not just a phone," I say, my voice growing stronger. "It's a camera, a gateway, one last window for you to peer through." The shadows around me seem to pulse with excitement. "Yes," the entity hisses. "Open it. Show us your world one last time." My finger hovers over the power button. Everything hinges on this moment. "You want to see my world?" I ask. "Then let's do this on my terms." Before the entity can respond, I press the button. But instead of bringing up the camera app, I smash the phone against the edge of the desk with all my might. The screen shatters with a satisfying crack. Sparks fly as the battery ruptures. And in that instant, the entity lets out a scream of such primal anguish that I clamp my hands over my ears. "What have you done?" it shrieks, its form writhing in apparent agony. "Close the last window," I gasp, watching in horrified fascination as the shadows begin to unravel. "Cut off your last connection to our world." The entity's form twists and contorts, struggling to maintain cohesion. "You fool," it howls. "Do you have any idea what you've sacrificed? Your art, your passion, your very identity." Tears stream down my face as the magnitude of what I've done sinks in. In destroying my phone, I've cut myself off from so much. My contacts, my social media, my ability to capture and share the world around me. In our hyper-connected age, it's like cutting off a limb. "I know exactly what I've sacrificed," I say, my voice breaking. "And it's worth it to be free of you." The shadows continue to dissipate, the entity's form growing fainter by the second. But as it fades, its voice echoes one last time. "Free? Oh, Emily, you'll never be truly free. In a world drowning in images, there will always be windows for us to peer through. Always be shadows waiting to feed. You've won the battle, but the war has only just begun." With a final ear-splitting shriek, the entity vanishes. The oppressive darkness lifts, leaving me alone in my now quiet apartment. I slump to the floor, surrounded by the wreckage of my phone and the remnants of my old life. For a long moment, I just sit there, letting the tears flow freely. The adrenaline fades, leaving me feeling hollow and spent. But as the initial shock wears off, a new emotion begins to take hold. Determination. I look at the shattered remains of my phone, then at my empty camera bag in the corner. "It's not just about me anymore," I say to the quiet room. "I have to warn others, have to find a way to protect them from what's lurking in the shadows." Slowly I stand up, my legs shaky but my resolve firm. I may have sacrificed my old life, my art, my connection to the digital world, but in doing so, I've gained something far more valuable: knowledge. Knowledge of the dangers that lurk just beyond our screens, waiting for an unwitting soul to invite them in. As I begin to clean up the mess, a plan starts to form. I can't use photos or videos to spread the warning. That would only open more windows. But there are other ways to tell a story, to sound the alarm. I'll find a way. I promise myself. Whatever it takes, I'll find a way to protect others from what I've been through. The sacrifice has been made. The immediate threat neutralized. But as I look out my window at the city beyond, teeming with screens and cameras and countless potential gateways, I know that my work is far from over. The entity was right about one thing. This is only the beginning. The real battle, the fight to close every window and banish the hungry shadows for good, still lies ahead. And this time, I'll be ready. Dawn breaks, its pale light creeping through my apartment windows. I stand amidst the wreckage of my life, shattered electronics, torn photographs, and the lingering scent of otherworldly malevolence. The entity is gone, banished by my desperate act of destruction. But as I survey the damage, I can't shake the feeling that something of me is now missing, forever captured by the shadows I've barely escaped. It's over, I whisper to myself, my voice hoarse from screaming. It has to be over. But even as I say the words, doubt gnaws at me. I catch my reflection in a broken mirror shard. My face is gaunt, eyes wild with a mixture of exhaustion and lingering terror. Do I look different now? Has my encounter with the entity left a visible mark? A knock at the door makes me jump, my heart racing. For a moment, panic grips me. Has it returned? Found another way in? "Emily?" A familiar voice calls out. Are you in there?" It's Sarah. Relief washes over me. My sister. Real, human, untouched by the horrors I've faced. With shaking hands, I open the door. Sarah's eyes widen as she takes in my appearance and the state of my apartment. "Oh my God, Em, what happened? Are you okay?" I open my mouth to explain, but where do I even begin? How can I possibly make her understand what I've been through? I stammer, struggling to find the words. Sarah steps inside, carefully navigating around the debris. Her gaze falls on my smashed cameras, the torn photographs. "Em, talk to me. What's going on?" I take a deep breath, steeling myself. You're going to think I'm crazy, I say quietly. Try me, Sarah responds, her voice gentle but firm. So I tell her everything, the entity in the photographs, the windows to another world, the sacrifice I had to make to close those portals. As I speak, I watch her face carefully, waiting for the moment when disbelief turns to concern, when she decides her sister has lost her mind. But that moment doesn't come. Sarah listens intently, her brow furrowed in concentration. When I finish, she's quiet for a long moment. You believe me, don't you? I ask, hardly daring to hope. Sarah takes my hand, squeezing it gently. I believe that you believe it, Em. And after everything you've been through, that's what matters right now. I feel tears welling up, a mix of relief and lingering fear. But it was real, Sarah. I'm not crazy. It was here in this room trying to consume me. My sister looks around the apartment again, her gaze lingering on the destruction. I don't know if I can fully understand what you experienced, she says slowly. But I know you. You're not the type to invent something like this. And clearly something traumatic happened here. I nod, grateful for her acceptance, even if she can't fully grasp the supernatural nature of my ordeal. So what now? Sarah asks. What do you need? I hadn't thought that far ahead. The immediate threat is gone, but the scars, both physical and psychological, remain. And deep down, a nagging fear persists. Is it truly over? I don't know, I admit. I destroyed everything. My cameras, my phone, my entire digital life. I cut myself off to stop it, but now, I feel lost. Sarah pulls me into a hug and I cling to her, drawing strength from her presence. You're not alone, Em, she says firmly. We'll figure this out together. As we start to clean up the apartment, a thought strikes me. Sarah, I say hesitantly, you have to be careful. With your photos, your phone, anything that captures images. Promise me you'll be vigilant. She pauses, looking at me with concern. Em, are you sure? Please, I interrupt, my voice cracking. I know it sounds paranoid, but just promise me. Be careful what you capture, what you invite in through your lens. Sarah nods slowly. Okay, Em, I promise. We'll be careful. As we continue to work, I can't help but glance at the windows, at the city beyond teeming with cameras and screens. The entity may be gone from my life, but how many other photographers, other unsuspecting souls, might be opening doors to that hungry darkness? I have to warn them, I murmur, more to myself than to Sarah. Warn who? She asks. I turn to her, a new determination forming. Everyone, anyone who might be at risk. I have to find a way to spread the word, to teach people how to protect themselves. Sarah looks skeptical. Em, I'm not sure that's... I know how it sounds, I interrupt. But I can't just pretend this never happened. I can't go back to normal knowing what's out there, waiting to be invited in. My sister studies me for a long moment, then nods. Okay. If this is what you need to do, I'll support you. But Em, promise me you'll take care of yourself too. Get some rest. Talk to someone professional about what you've been through. I agree, knowing she's right. The road ahead won't be easy. Rebuilding my life, finding a way to warn others without seeming like a complete lunatic, it's a daunting task. As the morning light grows stronger, chasing away the last shadows in my apartment, I feel a mix of emotions. Relief that the immediate danger has passed. Grief for the life and passion I've had to sacrifice, but also a steely determination. The aftermath of my encounter with the entity has left me forever changed. But perhaps in facing this darkness and surviving, I found a new purpose. A mission to protect others from the horrors lurking just beyond the frame, waiting for that perfect shot to bridge the gap between worlds. I look at Sarah, then out at the city beyond. It's not over, I say quietly. But whatever comes next, I'll be ready. The battle may be won, but the war against the hungry shadows has only just begun. And this time, I won't face it alone.